Hello and welcome back to a brand new episode of the Pick a Side podcast. My name is Joel Moran and I'm here with River Brown, Andrew Velez, and Joe Dehls. And this is now episode 408. In this episode, we're going to be giving our week 2 overreactions. I know, Rib, I stumbled there. That's why you looked at me side-eyed. I saw that. 0-2 panic meter. Which 2-0 teams are real and which ones are fake? Very different than contenders and pretenders. Real versus fake. Just a real start, fake start. You guys get the gist. And NBA is back, starting with the Atlantic Division preview. The Celtics, Knicks, Sixers, Raptors, and Nets. We might be the first podcast to do division previews in this way. Nobody really does it in the NBA like that.
I feel like we gotta start showing respect to the divisions because basketball doesn't.
We gotta bring it back.
Agreed.
We gotta bring it back.
It's just they don't matter.
Basketball's gonna make it matter for me to care. You know what I mean?
They used to matter, man. I mean, I feel like in this one though, Celtics and Knicks
Sixers
rivalry.
too. Yeah.
Sixers, Celtics rivalry. The Knicks and the Nets when they're good rivalry. You know,
Raptors kind of odd.
Raptors are kind of just even, but Celtics and Raptors games used to be aggressive.
Even this past year, we had a great game.
Raptors fake got a Q squad.
To you, yeah.
Fake, I said cute.
I didn't say
it's
gonna be a
cute.
nasty 9 seed.
Nah.
Sure.
Cook.
It's gonna be an ugly ass 9 seed.
OD.
Yeah.
Is it a 9 seed?
Maybe.
If the Hornets are healthy,
that's
who's better, the
If they're
Raptors or the
healthy,
Hornets?
I think Charlotte has more talent.
I've rode for Charlotte too many times, and they've been ass.
I'm with Charlotte this year. They got
Me
my
too.
guy over there.
I like B. Miller. So
Who's your guy, Grant Williams?
No.
He
Well,
is your
he's
guy.
there too. Their coach,
Charles Lee?
yeah.
Okay.
I'm with B. Miller, so we're here.
And we have
Where the
John
Melo goes, I go.
Tortorelli in the
John
producer's
Tortorelli.
corner. What's
Yeah.
up, John?
We have
How's
John.
it going?
I'm doing great. My Steelers are a nice 2-0,
Yeah, John's
and
here.
we had the best defense in football, so I couldn't really complain. Life could be a lot worse. So,
John,
grateful
did you
to be
like
here.
my tweet about the Steelers?
I didn't read it, honestly.
Oh.
I don't pay attention to the naysayers. Link, let a naysayer know. Dehls.
Okay.
Beat you this week in fantasy with
You
Jake
did.
Ferguson
You
in my
did.
lineup.
My
Yep.
team is cooked in that league. I'll
Yeah.
be honest.
Big Ten.
No, pick a side.
Yeah.
Okay.
Lost Cooper Cup. I have no one. I'm gonna start like Javante. Like I'm done.
So coming back to this video that is circulating on TikTok now. Before the season, we asked the question, can the Saints win the NFC South? Right? You were very disrespectful. Drew, you were very disrespectful.
What did I say?
I
Can we
was
play the
disrespectful
video?
to Alvin Kamara. I wasn't disrespectful to the Saints as a team. TikTok, they have found the video. Top comment is what happened 2 days ago. Coming back to this, Saints have had an arguable top 5 defense for a while. New OC is a game changer. Somebody also commented, funny watching this after the game. And then we recently posted a video about the Saints and how well they're playing. And the top comment is craziest switch up of all time.
What do you want? What do you want us to do? You
Not
want us
switch
to,
up?
you want us to you go out there, beat Dallas by 30 on the road. We should sit up here and be like, nah, that shouldn't happen again. They're actually ass. What blows my mind with Saints fans, and listen, I was wrong about the Saints. They're obviously contenders for the division. Their team has to be taken seriously in the NFC. What Saints fan was out there who can actually show me proof that before the season, you're thinking Clint Kubiak is coming in and making this the most explosive offense in football? If you have that out there, that's fine. If you would be like, you know what, it's going to be an improved offense, right? Derek Carr have a better season. All right, that's one thing. You could have made that argument. But to sit up there and act like you knew the Saints were going to go out and do this and beat Dallas by 30 is crazy. I mean, they're a really good team. They should be taken seriously. But to think that everyone out there, like every Saints fan was like, yeah, nah, we were expected to do this. That's just wrong. They're just lying.
I think I just called them boring. And I think based on what we watched in the last 2 weeks, far more exciting than what we seen last year in the 16-game sample size. So, but I do think, like, I think we said it too prior to the Dallas game. If they beat Dallas, we're all going to wake up. Like, now we're like, all right, it's in Dallas. It's a big game. You know, you got the Cowboys who are undefeated last year at home. If you go out there and we didn't even think it was going to be an ass whooping. If you go out there and just beat them.
You're competitive.
Yeah, like now we're looking at it different. But you went out there and you beat them by damn near 30 points. I mean, yeah, of course we're going to wake up now. Fuck.
Listen, I said what I had to say. The Saints are playing amazing football right now. And if you are a Saints fan and you said that you were a fan of Derek Carr, you were lying to yourself. because he had not been good with the Saints last season. And coming in, I feel like every Saints fan that I talk to, shout out to Mo from the Mavericks Outsider podcast, he goes and himself, he says that Derek Carr was a cancer to the team last year. He hated him. And now everyone's looking at Derek Carr and they're loving him and everything that's going on with the New Orleans Saints. And a lot of it also has to do with more than just Derek Carr, of course. He's the leader of the ship and he's balling the hell out. But end of the day, you give credit where credit is due. What are we going to sit here and just say, no, we're not buying it, they're not good? You just beat the Dallas Cowboys and you put up 15 straight scoring drives. Yeah, you're going to get respect, obviously.
What it comes down to is that if we said the Saints aren't going to be that good before the season, but then they end up being good, and we continue to say they're not a good team, the top comments are going to be that we're haters and we don't know what we're talking about. Yep. But now that they're playing well and we're talking about how they're playing well and what they're doing to get to that point, it's, oh, you're switching up. At the end of the day, they're playing well. You mentioned it. You said it perfectly, Drew. Give credit where credit is due. That's exactly what we did. Another interesting event happened this past weekend. We made some comments about Kyler Murray in the week, and we posted a video about the press conference he had when he was asked about Marvin Harrison Jr. and saying that it's not his job to get the ball. Listen, I still think that Kyler could have worded it better. He commented on our post and said, I expect more out of y'all fellas. Don't be like them. No shit, it's my job. That's not what I was saying, but keep doing y'all. And it sucks that the one video where we're speaking negatively on Kyler is the one he sees. Yo. But you're a Kyler fan. You're a Kyler fan. You're a Kyler fan. I'm a Cardinals fan because my girlfriend's from Arizona, so by default, now I'm rooting for Kyler.
Yeah, we'll allow it.
And I have Marvin Harrison Jr. on my fantasy.
Bullshit, you were going to trade him to me.
No,
and you
I was not.
Don't lie.
I declined it.
Don't lie.
No, I declined it.
Don't lie.
I said if week 2 he has to back in, I'm thinking about it.
And I'll say this, Riv. I think,
that shit. No,
yeah,
Drew,
it hurt me.
I know it wasn't even. What really killed me was Drew said something on Twitter. And somebody commented or something like, wow, now Drew has a Kyler Murray jersey. And that shit boggled my mind because it was like, if you watch this show for 2 to 3 years, you have known me and Drew almost talked ourselves into saying Arizona could win the division. Us three have been big Kyler fans since day one. We've loved his game. And listen, I'm going to keep it 100. I don't change nothing of what I said. I don't care if he commented or not. Like, just because he commented doesn't mean I'm going to change what I said. That is how I feel. If you feel that way and I feel this way, that's just life. We have our opinions. But that should never, ever... That doesn't sway my how I feel about Kyler as a player, or how I am as a fan of him. And for people who just were commenting, oh, these guys like I made a tweet after he saw the he saw the TikTok, he went out there, he put on the performance. Marvin Harrison had the day of his life. Of course, I'm gonna say, yo, bro, you killed because I've been a Kyler Murray fan. But the people who act like we just ain't been with Kyler Murray since day one, honestly, that just shows you don't watch the show. You ain't been a fan.
You can go back and watch. How many takes do I have of me saying I'm taking Kyler Murray over Lamar Jackson, a 2-time MVP? I've been here with Kyler Murray. But like Riv said, you listen to how Kyler Murray spoke. He could have worded it a lot better from what he actually meant. And when you go back and you try to sit down and break down what he said, obviously it makes sense. He's not just going to force the ball to Marvin. That's not his job. Obviously, he's saying that's on Drew to call plays, and that's what he's going to go out there and execute. However, when you went out there and you threw the ball to Marvin Harrison,
good things happen.
Four catches, 130 yards, 2 touchdowns in the first quarter. And no, he was not forcing it. Of course, Marvin was wide open, and he was still making plays, and it was obviously super exciting to watch. And credit to Kyler for commenting that and going and having one of the best games in the history of the regular season.
That football is now in the Hall of Fame, and how long, guys, has that Funko Pop of Kyler Murray been on our decoration for our studio? We have a Kyler Murray Funko Pop in the studio.
That's why
it's been there for years.
We helped him get history.
Kyler probably understands that. He probably not the first time he's watched our videos either. He's seen us talk about him in definitely a positive light, which probably a positive on his feed.
Probably why he told us be better.
And then the one time we're shit talking him, he's like, y'all switched up on me, and that's crazy.
Yeah, you can't call us. The one thing you can't say about us is we have ever been Kyler Murray doubters.
No way.
Or people that shit on Kyler Murray. We have been here with Kyler since day one in this podcast. Since I've been on, since you've been on, we have all been fans of Kyler. This isn't even us switching up like, oh, Kyler commented on our post. All of a sudden, we're Kyler fans now. Go back, go on our Twitters, go on the YouTube, go on the TikTok. It's going to be real difficult to find anything of us hating on Kyler Murray. Shout out to him, though. But this is what we wanted, right? This wasn't us.
Kidding me?
Even the original video was never us saying Kyler's got to be a better teammate. Kyler's got to do this. It was like, no. In this offense, Marvin Harrison is the clear number one alpha on the team. You get him the ball, Kyler. You get him the ball, Drew. The head coach, everyone on the team should know Marvin Harrison is the number one. And when you're installing game plans, when you're going through practice, when you're doing walkthroughs, it should be a concerted effort to get Marvin the ball. And you see what happens in week 2. You go out there and you smoke the Rams. That was easily the best game that they've had with Jonathan Gannon at head coach over these last 2 years. That was a statement win at home against a division rival. I get the injuries the Rams have had, the offensive line, the wide receivers, I get all of that. But you go out there and you beat them by 30. That wasn't just a touchdown game. You went out there and made a statement like, this is a team that can compete. If Kyler, God willing, he could stay healthy, because it's been a minute. We've had a full, healthy Kyler season. This is a team that can compete for a wild card.
Perfectly said, Dehls. Perfectly said, Drew. Perfectly said, Riv. Let's move on to week 2 overreactions. How many overreactions do you guys have each? Just give me a number real quick.
I have 3.
I have 0. It took me. I couldn't really find anything that I overreact. The only thing I could say that was a real overreaction was how many upsets we saw this weekend. That was really it. Like, how many teams really came to play. How many games we predicted would be in either a blowout win or just another team outbeating another team, and how we just saw teams fold and crumble. So for me, really, I didn't really have any overreactions. I kicked like the same ones I had from week 1. I'm pretty confident about those, but nothing too major for me to really stick my nose in,
Okay, that's great. So now we got 3 with Drew, 4 with Dehls, and I also have 4 myself. John, do you have any overreactions for week 2?
I do have a few, but I want you guys to go first so I can let mine kind of build off of y'all.
Have a haircut,
let's
John.
go.
Looks nice, man.
Thank you, bro. I
Just
appreciate
look the
it.
back
You
of
got
your
a
neck.
fade, right?
Yeah, cuts by Carlos and Waldwick. Yes,
That's
I got
Carlos.
I got
Cuts
fade,
by
bro.
Carlos
I did it all.
Mendoza.
Hey, we know about Carlos Mendoza, man.
I don't know who that is.
He's
That's a Mets manager.
Oh, really? I didn't know. I was just guessing. That's Carlos, Spanish last name. I was just guessing.
I know Carlos Beltran.
Who's
Never
that?
met.
Mets.
Yep, true.
Carlos.
He is a legend. He
All
used
right,
to play
Drew.
for the Yankees too.
Start off with your
Interesting.
week 2 overreaction.
All right, first one up. Malik Neighbors will win offensive rookie of the year. A
be careful.
64% target share this past weekend. It's the most, I believe, that has been tracked in the modern day of tracking target share. 64%, 10 catches, 18 targets that he saw, goes for over 100 yards and a touchdown. And what sucks about this more than anything too is Malik did have that ball on 4th down that he did drop that essentially gave back the ball to the Commanders, and the Commanders were able to drive down the field and end up kicking the game-winning field goal. Shout out to the kicker for the Commanders, also 7 for 7. Next one. The Patriots will contend for the division title next season. Not this year. I think that the Buffalo Bills, especially after Tua going on IR, Jets looking like shit. I feel like the Bills,
1-1.
this will be their division. There's a chance that we can see the Patriots contend for the 2 spot. That's how elite their defense is. The offensive line's still weak. The lack of weapons is what's holding me back from making that type of statement. But next season, when you can go into the offseason and address your clear holes, your offensive line, maybe you add another weapon to this offense, we can be talking about the New England Patriots winning the AFC East yet again. And my last one is, which I'm sure that I'm not the only one that has this, the New Orleans Saints are going to be the number 1 seed in the NFC, and Dennis Allen will be the coach of the year. They are top 3 in every single advanced statistic on the defensive and offensive side. EPA per play, success rate, drop back EPA, rush EPA, both on offense and defense, rush success rate. They have been flawless on both sides of the ball. The 15 straight drives they scored to start their season. The Panthers, you look at that game, and none of us were overly moved by it. Joel, you were maybe moved the most by it because you were high on them, a little bit higher than us coming into the season. But what we all said was, if you go out there and you win versus the Dallas Cowboys, we'll start to have conversations. Not only did you beat the Dallas Cowboys, you bent them over and you had your way with them. So I look at the New Orleans Saints. and we understood the defense was going to be great. Our obvious concern was the offense, the offensive line, and Clint Kubiak has come in and completely changed how they run their team, the amount of play action, the amount of motion that is in this offense. You have Rashid Shaheed. John, I'll always give you credit for that one. Rashid Shaheed's a burner over the top. We haven't even seen Chris Olave be a big part of this offense, and Alvin Kamara reminding people that he is a first ballot Hall of Famer. He is one of the elite premier talents when it comes to being an elite receiving option, and this season we've seen him become an elite rushing option as well, back to what we saw back in the day from him. So New Orleans Saints are moving the world right now. Right now they are one of the best teams in the NFL, and I can see it happening where they are the top seed in the NFC.
What's crazy is coming into the year, Dennis Allen was the favorite to be the first coach to get fired.
Yep.
And now I don't think it's an overreaction, but it's not crazy. The way that this Saints team is looking, man. I mean, we saw the first like month, 5 weeks of the schedule is difficult, right? They got a game against the Chiefs. They have a couple really tough games coming up. But if they could survive this, number one seed is definitely possible. My overreactions, I got 4 here. This one's a little bit weird. I don't think you're going to like this one. This one's a little bit weird. I don't think the Chiefs are going to represent the AFC in the Super Bowl this year. I think it's going to be a different team representing the Chiefs. They're 2-0. And 2 of the best wins of the year over the Ravens, over the Bengals, 2 teams that we think are Super Bowl contenders as well. But just when I look at this roster, Pacheco goes down, broken fibula. It might be
Fibula.
There we go. Broken that. He also, I'm not sure if he also had an ankle sprain that went on top of that.
I just saw the broken fibula.
So I don't know if he's going to come back 100%. So this run game is not going to be great. Hollywood Brown is most likely done for the year. There's a chance he comes back for the playoffs, but it's going to be tough to get reacclimated that quick. The defense, of course, we know lost Snead. And I just think there's going to be a different team this year doing it. I don't think the Chiefs are going to be able to go back to back to back to overcome this year after year after year. I get it. It's KC, it's Patrick Mahomes, but I think there's going to be a different team representing the AFC. My next overreaction, the Giants are going to start off 0-8, and Brian Daboll's going to get fired.
Wow.
It's not Brian Daboll's fault, but I think the issues he had last offseason, kind of losing the coaching staff a bit, his issues with the Wink Martindale on the sideline, and then they're 0-2 right now. Their next 6 games, Browns, Cowboys, Seahawks, Bengals, Eagles, Steelers. Then they get the Commanders and the Panthers. But those next 6 games, we just saw the Giants lose to the Commanders. And the Commanders just scored 7 field goals, and they were able to win. They didn't even get to the end zone. I think there's a real chance they're 0-8. Probably have a good chance of getting a top pick in this 2025 draft as well. This one isn't as of a hot take because I've seen a couple people say, we just talked about it on BR. Mason Rudolph should be starting for the Tennessee Titans. Will Levis has lost them these last 2 games. Yeah. If Mason Rudolph has been the starting quarterback since week 1, the Titans have a strong chance of starting 2-0. You probably don't blow a 17-point lead to the Bears. You don't have the dumb turnovers and sacks you did against the New York Jets in week 2. And if the Titans are sitting 2-0, and you're fighting there with Houston, and the Colts start 0-2, and the Jags don't have a win yet, all of a sudden this Titans are a team that can maybe compete for the division, at a minimum compete for the wild card. And my last overreaction, the Los Angeles Rams are going to have a top 5 draft pick. The injuries are too much. The injuries are way too much. They're 0-2 right now. The offensive line is decimated. The Cardinals have probably, if not the worst pass rush in the NFL. They were all over Matt Stafford in this game. Cooper Kupp is probably going to be out for a minimum of a month, if not longer. Puka Nacua is out for a minimum of 6 weeks. There's no weapons on this offense. The offensive line is decimated, and that was supposed to be their strong suit. The defense is what was going to have to, hold teams to 24 points and hope the offense can score 27 week to week. With so many injuries to this offense, I think this Rams team is really going to go down.
Now, I appreciate your overreaction. You have some cojones to pick against the Chiefs, because I think this year, especially after last season, don't think I forgot about what you guys said about the Chiefs last year. What everybody said about the Chiefs. They're fraudulent. They're not going to win. If there was a year for them not to win, it was last year. So because they won last year, everybody is scared to pick against them this year.
Correct.
Because they won last year.
Yes.
But listen, I don't hate it too much. The Chiefs find ways to win, though. I mean, Patrick Mahomes just played his second worst game of his career, and they just beat the Bengals.
Andrew Curse over to Kansas City. We're riding all the way.
You're a fan of Rashee Rice, so if
that
he gets
is
suspended
my brother.
soon, that might be.
I don't give a fuck. That is my guy. He is insane at football.
He is amazing. Now, my week 2 overreactions, I had to take one out. I have 4, but I'm gonna take one out because I'm gonna just save that for another episode.
Can I also ask? You're taking the field, so it's not just like I got
somebody.
another team. It's just not KC.
Just not KC.
Okay. That's kind of lame, but I respect it.
I'm taking 10 teams instead of this one.
Easy.
Like, so if you could give me one team, like off the top of your noggin, that gives you the best chance to beat KC in the AFC chip.
You know who it is?
If you say the New York Jets,
John's Pittsburgh Steelers.
you're kidding.
Nah, fuck with you. I think the Bengals can do it. I still think Baltimore has a chance. And I think as the season goes on, the Jets get better.
Buffalo.
And Buffalo, my apologies. Buffalo's in that conversation, and Houston's in that. All five of those teams have a real chance to do it.
Greatest at the
Can I
moment.
tell you the team that I think has the best chance?
Buffalo or Houston?
I think it is. I think that defense is actually
Buffalo or
really
Houston?
good. Buffalo.
Okay.
Sorry, that's fair.
yeah.
He does have two squads. I think it's legitimate Buffalo. This defense seems to be a notch better than it was.
It's always us until the defense
But the
needs
offense,
to get a
the
stop.
offensive weapons, this could be where we start to see Josh Allen enter that next phase of his quarterback development. And we obviously we talked about that when we spoke about Joe Burrow and how we feel like there's another level that he can get to when he's just not trying to make the home run play every time, similar with Josh. And if we start to see that with Josh Allen this season with the lack of weapons, it'll be scary for the rest of the league.
We'll talk about the Chiefs more in depth later when we have our 2-0 topic. Of course, they're real, but I think there are some things that we got to bring up with that team that could maybe derail them if there is something that
God
would
willing.
derail them. Now, my week 2 overreactions, the Minnesota Vikings can win the NFC North. I think they're that good.
It's a really
I think
good one.
They have a top 3 coaching staff in the NFL. I think Brian Flores is a head coach, but he's a defense coordinator because of the way he handled the quarterback situation in Miami, but also because he filed a lawsuit against the NFL, and they definitely blackballed him for that. But he's shown time and time again that he can get the best out of personnel, and the way that he confused this 49ers offense was something that I haven't seen done. I mean, he is a mastermind. He's that good, and that defense gives that Vikings team a chance to win every single game. And then for the offense, if Sam Darnold can continue to play at a baseline level, and you're going to get Jordan Addison with TJ Hawkinson back eventually, when you have Jettas, Hawkinson, and Addison, and Aaron Jones all healthy, and Todd Chandler is also playing really well.
Very well.
I mean, this team looks really damn good, and with the Lions, we're seeing some chinks in their armor.
Naylor's been solid,
Right
too.
now, Jared
You
Goff.
always knew, man. Good call on Sam Darnold.
Right now, Jared Goff
Minnesota,
is
man.
not playing well. Jared Goff,
not?
under pressure, he is a bad quarterback, and the numbers have supported that for years now. Detroit was able to mask it because it had an elite offensive line, but this year the Lions' offensive line looks to have regressed, and if that happens, that's a major problem for Jared Goff and their offense moving forward. My other overreaction, I think the Arizona Cardinals finished with a top 5 offense in the NFL.
Cook.
I don't think there are
That's
5.
not an overreaction, truthfully.
It's not. I mean, their offense is electric when you have Marvin, Michael Wilson, Greg Dortch, Trey McBride, James Conner in the backfield, and Kyler Murray, who is an explosive play machine. There are not 5 offenses that I think not only will be more productive, but are going to be more fun to watch this year than Arizona. I think Arizona is a top 3 team to watch just because of how electric they are on offense. And my last overreaction, I ruffled some feathers with this on Twitter, but Geno Smith is a top 10 quarterback, and we got to start respecting his game even more because it gets overlooked. There are some elite traits that people miss out with his game. This year, it's only been 2 games, of course, but I'm going to also use stats from last year. This year, Geno Smith, he is pressured the fastest of any quarterback in the NFL. He's still 5th in success rate. This year, the Seahawks have the 31st pass block win rate. Geno Smith is 4th in QBR. Against New England, an elite defense, they blitzed some 12 times. He was 10 for 12, 170 yards, 1 touchdown. He was that good. But I think the best part of Geno Smith's game that gets overlooked is his sack avoidance.
Oh, okay.
Is his pocket presence. There are 2 quarterbacks only that had a better pressure to sack rate in the NFL last year than Geno Smith. It was Patrick Mahomes and it was Josh Allen. When we talk about Geno Smith, his ability to avoid sacks is on that elite level like Allen and Mahomes, and that's what separates him, and that's what's been able to mask this offensive line. This offensive line was bad last year, but Geno Smith led the league in game-winning drives. Geno Smith is an elevator, and the way that he played against New England, he carried them to that victory. He absolutely carried them. Yes, you had big games from JSN and DK Metcalf, but when you see the throws that Geno was making, when you saw the way he was evading pocket and maneuvering through pressure, I mean, he played a perfect game, and there are not 10 quarterbacks that I would take right now in this moment over Geno Smith as my quarterback.
So you know how the show goes. You say a statement like that, I got to give you 10 quarterbacks. Patrick Mahomes.
Mahomes.
Of course. Josh Allen.
Josh Allen.
Joey B.
Joe Burrow.
CJ Stroud.
CJ Stroud.
Kyler Murray.
Geno Smith. I'm going with Geno Smith.
Herbert.
Okay. Lamar Jackson.
Lamar Jackson.
Justin Herbert.
Justin Herbert.
See, now that's an interesting one. So Kyler is easy. We're taking Justin Herbert also easy.
Jordan
Justin
Love.
Herbert is in
Justin
a worse
Herbert's
offensive
easy.
situation.
And
right
I
now
agree. I
in the
think
league.
Justin Herbert's better than Geno Smith. But Kyler Murray, what has he shown you to say that he's not better than him?
Oh, I have to see him healthy for a full year.
So it's the injury?
It's not the injury. That's not just the only thing. Kyler Murray last year as a passer when he came back wasn't the best. He was average at best.
Rough.
But now this year he has weapons. So I want to see him with a full year under his belt, and I want to see him play well. We haven't seen a full year of Kyler Murray playing well in almost 2.5 seasons. So I have to see that. But Geno Smith, even pound for pound, quarterbacking with Kyler Murray, something that's underrated. Ryan Grubb is giving Geno full control of the command of this offense for Seattle. Geno Smith, on multiple occasions, he checked out of plays against New England and got them to the right look to shred New England's defense. That's a sort of command that doesn't get just brought to any quarterback. He has that, but also Geno Smith can exploit every area of the field. Kyler Murray doesn't throw to the middle of the field. That's still something that he does not do. He's exceptional at throwing outside the numbers and evading sacks, but he's also not as good as evading sacks as Geno Smith. Geno Smith is better at that.
Jordan Love.
Geno Smith.
Dak Prescott. Ooh, wow.
MVP.
I just
Jordan Love was in top 7 conversations with you.
It's the same thing. Jordan Love, he's hurt right now. I need to see Jordan Love for this entire season when he gets back play at a high level again.
But I mean, you can make the
can't do
argument
that.
You
that
put Jordan
put him in
Love
top
at like
7
top 7
talks.
conversations after 9 games.
I think when there's a certain tier that Geno Smith is not in, this is the tier. It's Mahomes, Allen, Burrow, Lamar Jackson, Justin Herbert.
Matthew Stafford.
Matthew Stafford, I'll put in that tier as well.
Great call.
Those are the 6 quarterbacks. I think Geno Smith can be debated with Dak Prescott.
CJ Stroud.
I think he can be debated with CJ Stroud, just their level of play. You can
Trevor Lawrence?
I think Geno Smith is better than Trevor Lawrence right now. He's playing at a much higher level than him. Geno Smith has been that good. And I love CJ Stroud and I love Jordan Love.
You're not being consistent.
But they had spectacular seasons that were impressive from a 1-year sample size. You got to see it this year. The first 2 games of this year, Geno Smith has been top 6.
Geno Smith 2 years ago was amazing. Last year, he regressed from the previous season.
He was also banged up too, which is not something that you're taking into
this
account.
first 2 games, he looks back to that 2-year prior 2022 version.
Here's the thing. Geno Smith's numbers on the surface level didn't look great last year. He led the NFL in game-winning drives. He was second in big-time throw percentage. He was 7th in big-time throws. He had the second most big-time throws on throws 20-plus yards down the field. He had a top 3 bottom sack rate with Mahomes and Josh Allen, so he was elite at avoiding sacks. And also, EJ Snyder, who's a co-host of the Bootleg Football Podcast, he's a co-host with Brett Coleman there. They do amazing work. He came up with this team composite score, and it basically measures the help that you're getting from your teammates. Geno Smith ranked 24th. When you look at NFL ranks by down, on first and second down, Geno Smith was 5th in QBR, 2nd in completion percentage over expectation, and 2nd in EPA per dropback. On third down, he was 21st in QBR, 17th in completion percentage over expectation, and 22nd in EPA per dropback. Now, the numbers look so different on first and second down compared to third down because Shane Waldron had no plan for pressure for Seattle last year. And Geno Smith was not allowed the freedom he has this year in last year's system. And we're seeing what Shane Waldron is doing right now in Chicago, where the Bears look oblivious against pressure. That's what Geno Smith dealt with all year long last year. But all those advanced numbers on early downs and big time throws, Geno Smith was elite at. He was that good. And then this year, he's starting off at an amazing pace.
So, I mean,
right
it
now.
sounds like he's like the 8th best quarterback in the league right now.
Yes, Geno Smith is top 10 for me. I think, yes, you could debate Jordan Love. You could debate CJ Stroud. I think Kyler Murray's in conversation. Dak Prescott's in conversation. But Geno Smith, what I'm saying is he's in the conversation. He's in that conversation. And when we talk about, like, after the top 6, all those guys are pretty much interchangeable. And then we get to the next tier with the Jared Goffs and the Tuas, and I think Purdy's probably like a step above those guys.
The only thing that I have issue with in this conversation is you taking him over Jordan Love.
Jordan Love.
Because of you.
Jordan Love.
You're the only reason I have a problem with this.
Listen, Jordan Love is amazing. I think he's going to be elite. I think he's going to be spectacular. Right now, he's hurt. First game of the season, he looked a bit rough. The field was bad, though. but I have to see him healthy. He played a great, elite. He was a top 3 quarterback in the second half of the season, and I thought he was better than what people give him credit for in the first half of the season. But Jordan Love is not as accurate as Geno Smith. Jordan Love is great at avoiding sacks, but he's not like Geno Smith. He's not that quite elite. The Packers last year were second in pass block win rate. They had a great pass blocking offensive line. When I take into account all the circumstances Geno Smith has had to overcome, and he still continues to play at a high level and give the Seahawks a chance to win, I have to take that into account.
So let me ask this question. So you don't think, because I feel like you knew all of this a month ago. Like, this information was out there. It was evident. First, let me start by saying you are the Geno Smith guy. I'm going to not take that away from you. You've been higher on Geno Smith than probably anybody I've ever met in football in my life. That's your dude. You knew all this information a month ago, and you still put Jordan Love in that top 7 conversation, even though Geno Smith was elite at all these traits that you mentioned. He was like all the stuff. I don't even remember the stuff you just said. You said a whole lot of stuff about Geno Smith being great, but you knew all this. It took you 2 games to vault Geno Smith in the top 7 talk. That's my only situation. My only problem is the lack of consistency that comes with the conversation, because I feel like those tops, like you mentioned, those top 6 are untouched. Like the Herberts, the Staffords, the Lamar, those guys are untouched. But I feel like those other guys, the Dax, who just is coming off an MVP season, now he's in a conversation with Geno because of one bad game or 2 bad games, whatever it was. And then we're talking about the CJ Strouds, who had a historic rookie year. Now, because he's played 2 good games, he's in a conversation with Geno. Like, I feel like there is no groundwork to really, keep these conversations consistent. Because although Geno Smith did play great, he was in a dogfight with Denver, and he's in a dogfight in New England. I'm not saying they're horrible teams, but we all feel like Seattle should be beating these teams a little bit. At least Denver, they should be beating them comfortably, and he's not. And that's not to say Geno is not great. He's great in his own right, but at the same time, there's just a lack of consistency that comes with these conversations.
Fair, and I can understand the confusion with that. My rebuttal to that is I don't think Geno is just having these 2 games. I mentioned before, I thought he was great last year.
I agree. Yeah, I mentioned that.
This is default in the quarterback list, and this is why I stepped away from doing it. And this is why whenever I make a quarterback list, it's going to be after half a season of a sample size. I'm not going to do it like week to week because things can change and they can vary. When we evaluated Jordan Love and CJ Stroud, a lot of the evaluation comes from what they can be. Also, what they were doing. For sure. That's why they were propped up. But it's also, what can they be? Oh, man, he played at this level for this period of time. Okay, if he just keeps improving on this, they could reach that elite company. I'm just going off now, and this is where I've grown. What are they doing now? How do they perform now? On a week-to-week basis, from the seasons that we've had as well, right now, measuring these quarterback skill sets, what can these quarterbacks do that Geno Smith cannot? And when I look at Jordan Love and when I look at CJ Stroud, there are not many things that I look at that they could do that Geno Smith cannot. Geno Smith can do all those things.
But then, friendly conversation. I love it. Before these 2 games, you felt that way. This was a thought process you had in your brain that you probably just didn't want to. Maybe I could be wrong, but you didn't want to. You wanted to wait a little more. If you felt that way prior to this, you still dropped. You made a list and you had Jordan Love and CJ Stroud in front of him, which is fine, fair. I'm not mad at I'm not even mad. Let me not say that. I'm not confused at the result. I'm confused about how did you get to the result. You know what I'm saying?
Now, even if Geno Smith is below CJ Stroud and Jordan Love, that's 7-8.
Well, I don't
I think Dak Prescott, he has the cachet.
I don't want to say all the other names in between, but
Dak Prescott has the cachet built up to where, I could take him over Geno Smith, but I also kind of like Geno more than Dak. I think Geno plays more within himself than Dak. Dak, especially in bigger games, can get lost in himself. And that's the biggest concern with me when it comes to Dak Prescott. I think that's a conversation. Geno Smith is in this tier, but even if I put Jordan Love and CJ Stroud over Geno Smith, I think Geno Smith is a top 10 quarterback. What Trevor Lawrence has shown these past couple of, I would say, 16 games, really, we have a full season of him, really not playing that well. And I understand the situation around him isn't great. Look at Seattle's situation.
Also playing injured also.
Yeah.
Yeah, Geno's been. I mean, I just think,
just Geno.
I think
Lawrence.
if Dak got off to a start, or at least the start, and continue what he did last season, I think we would have Dak over him. I also don't think Geno. I get it. Dak doesn't play well in big games. Geno hasn't really been in a game, big playoff moment. The playoff game he lost.
Here's the thing with Dak. If you don't have a playoff moment, or you're Justin Herbert, or you're Lamar Jackson, if you don't have a playoff, either that or that situation, I don't think I could put you over Dak. Because in the regular season, Dak is one of the best quarterbacks in the league.
But Dak Prescott last year, all his numbers came against bad teams. When he faced the Detroit Lions, he wasn't that great.
He was great against Philly.
When he faced the Seahawks, I don't think he played better than Geno in that game.
He was great though.
He was really good against Seattle.
When we talk about when he played the 49ers, he was terrible. When he played the Bills, he was terrible. Like all the games that he played really elite in were all the trash, garbage teams. And that's the thing with
But he's
that.
the entire offense, and they won 12 games, won a division. You can't take that away from him.
I mean, listen, I think that
like
Geno
even Purdy
Smith
too, though. Purdy went out there and really outside of the Ravens, he went out there and he really played like Brock Purdy.
So I look at Geno Smith, and I don't think that because we look at the receivers, we say, yeah, he's like filled with talent on the team, but Geno Smith is carrying that offense. And the game against New England was an example of that. Zach Charbonnet
He's terrible.
did not play well at all.
He's a bad rusher. He's a decent pass catcher, but he cannot run that.
They had less than 50 yards rushing in that game, and they beat an elite defense because Geno Smith completed 75% of his passes over 300 yards and a touchdown. Like Geno's
nice.
Carried them. I know. I think he's a top 10 quarterback, and I think that's pretty stamped. Like Geno Smith has those qualities to me.
Over
and
Kyler,
I think he's going to prove it.
I think it's more than fair to put him in the tier. I don't know if I'd have him in CJ Stroud's tier from what I've seen his rookie year and to start off this year. But
That's a good overreaction.
I think it's more than fair to have him in the tier with the Kylers, the Trevor Lawrences, those guys. I think, I don't know, Trevor Lawrence is a different conversation, but I think I would probably still have him a bit more towards the bottom of that tier.
Yes.
Oh, that was another one. We didn't even
say
mention
Jalen Hurts. I would still take Jalen Hurts.
I think Geno Smith is a far better passer than Jalen Hurts. He can handle pressure better than Jalen Hurts.
Jalen's been good against pressure this year.
He's been good against
He's been really good against pressure this year.
Yeah.
And he got his legs back.
He
got his legs back.
And they
Hell
should
out
have
of
fucking
me.
won last night.
Yeah, he got his legs back.
You're
But
OPOY, man.
We'll wait.
Okay,
You're second best in the
he has
league.
16 drops since 2021.
You know who.
Saquon. 16
great
drops
last game.
since 21.
Against who?
Saquon?
Against Atlanta.
He was started off great.
He did
Second
start
half,
off.
the second half,
It was
he
the
was kind of
offensive
mid.
line.
But
Let me
then-
also no. It was one drive. He had 38, 39 yards on one drive, and that was a majority of his rushing.
Yeah, I
yards.
think like
He had 64 on 2 drives. It was 2 drives.
because I was gonna say his last
Maybe
like
it was 2
10
drives.
carries, he was only
Every
averaging like
big
3.5
play
a
he had,
carry.
it was called back. It was literally.
He
a
did
holding.
get a few holding calls.
Every
but listen,
play.
if you don't hold, the hold might not be there. You know what I mean?
I can't blame him. You know, it ain't his
but if
fault.
you were just called that last catch,
No,
we're getting
it
carried
literally,
away.
if he catches the ball, nothing is.
Yeah, because then you're 2-0, right? Jalen Hurts has himself one of the best
really
games he's
good
had
game.
over the last
OD.
8 games going
And
back to
Hurts
last
stole the TD
season.
from us, my boy Saquon. He should have had 2 TDs.
Oh, the tush push, yeah. He's got 3 in the fucking first
I think
game.
he got like 5 now. Yeah, I think he has like 5.
Now, Johnny boy, what are your overreactions?
I've got a
Johnny
good
Boy.
amount. Now, 2 of them that you guys had, Cardinals top 5 offense. I agree that's a good possibility. So far, second. Another one that I think you guys mentioned, Dehls. Rams missed the playoffs this year.
wow.
Too many injuries.
That's a top 5 pick, but yeah.
Yeah, I
it
think
correlates.
that's even further. My first one is the Bills represent the AFC in the Super Bowl this year. I look at this offense, and it's brand new. They're no longer force-feeding Stephon Diggs. Josh Allen doesn't have to play hero ball. And right now, we're watching the next evolution in Josh Allen's game, and I love the diversity of their talent on offense. We've seen it for years. It worked for the Packers. It worked for the Chiefs. They have so much talent there. But then defensively, they've had a lot of injuries. That linebacker, Terrell Bernard, suffered a pec injury. He's going to be out a month. And we know Matt Milano is going to be out probably until December. But what if this Bills team finally catches that break and gets healthy? Because that's the biggest thing, which has held them back in the playoffs. I have a gut feeling this year that luck starts to turn around their favor because they have such a good front seven, and I really like that cornerback room. The next one I have, Doug Peterson will be fired, and the Jaguars, not too long from now, will be searching for a new head coach. And there's a lot of good candidates on the market as we're seeing right now. This team is 1-7 in their last 8 games. That one win, can you guys guess who that's against?
Wasn't it the
Panthers?
Texans?
Don't think hard, Carolina. I mean, there's no life with this team whatsoever. They're poorly designed on offense, and they have not made life easier for Trevor. But Trevor's not playing his best football either. There was a play in their game versus the Browns where he has Brian Thomas wide open off a pick. Doesn't seem he's staying out the pocket. Their execution offensively has been poor. And I look at a team that's had so much draft capital. The first overall pick in back-to-back years. They spent the most money for free agency 2 years ago. There's zero intensity with this team. There's zero heart. and I think they need to make a change. Another one that I have is Sam Darnold, comeback player of the year. Right now, he's the most accurate of his career. He, for his career, was completing 60% of his passes. Right now, he's playing on time. And even though they missed Justin Jefferson at the end of the last game, their top 3 weapons were all gone. They still found a way to win that game.
Good, man.
I've been super impressed with the way he's played, and that's about it for me.
I don't have the week 2 report, but the week 1 report, Jacksonville was 29th in motion, in pre-snap motion. Doug Peterson, he was supposed to come in, be an offensive guy, be able to work with Trevor Lawrence. Of course, things in Philly kind of went a little sideways at the end there, especially when you think of that last game when he's like sitting Jalen Hurts and all of this. And it was a bit of a weird ending, but he was supposed to come into Jacksonville and uplift this team after what Urban Meyer's done. They choked at the end of last season. That was an easy. You win 2 out of your last, 7 games. You win the division. You're off to an 0-2 start this season. You lose against Miami, and then you lose against the Browns, who defense is great. That offense, it's terrible, right? Like 18 points. It was like 18-13, 18-10, whatever the final score was.
And the 2 points were as a safety.
Yeah, and also Brian Thomas is their best weapon in my opinion. Christian Kirk looks like a shell of himself at this point.
Tragic.
Gabe
Yes.
Davis, I mean, we knew what Gabe Davis was. Evan Ingram got banged up in pregame, so he wasn't even playing. Brian Thomas showed week 1, I'm this dude in the offense. And he's had 4 targets back-to-back weeks. Like, this is the guy
I think
you have to get involved in the offense.
They just don't have any muscle in the trenches.
That's true.
They
The
just
offensive
don't.
line,
Like
yeah.
the defensive line in Cleveland, one of the best in the league. They just completely said this offensive line cannot fuck with us. Let's show what we can do, and they just completely dominated them from start to finish.
No, they stink. The Jaguars are a mess, and I think Doug Peterson will get fired after the season.
Our Colts versus Jags debate, mid versus mid, 0-2 versus 0-2 right now.
Listen, I said it before the preseason. The only team I saw making the
Well,
playoffs in
Titans
this,
are 0-2 also. All 3 of them teams are just ass right now.
the division with that schedule that they were going to face, the only team you could feel confident in was the Texans.
The last stat I want to mention, and then we can move on to this next topic. Geno Smith this year, lowest play action rate in the NFL. He's lowest at 18%. So he's not getting help from the scheme in terms of play action, and just everything has been on his plate.
Can I give you one more Geno number? We did this on the fantasy
Yes.
reaction last night. He was charged with 0 off-target throws in this game against New England. First time since 2021 a quarterback had 40 or more dropbacks, an ADOT of 8+ yards, and 0 off-target throws. When he was trailing against New England, he was 14 of 17, 175 yards and a touchdown. Against the Blitz, he was 10 for 12, 170 yards.
He was amazing. If we had a segment like First Things First where Nick Wright has the quarterback with the Mahomes mountain,
Oh, yeah.
Geno Smith is moving up the mountain right now for me.
Lit.
The next topic, which was the biggest news after Week 2's games, it happened Monday morning. Bryce Young was benched. Dave Canales, after the game, he said that Bryce Young is his quarterback. Then he came out and he basically said that, yeah, they're going to bench Bryce Young. A lot of things led to this moment. Drew, you predicted a breakout season.
Damn.
It's going to be breaking the bench now.
He had
So
to say that.
I would tell him he's lying.
What's happening,
Okay.
Drew?
You're a funny guy. I really don't care. They made the right decision.
Would love to say before you continue, this is a terrible podcast for predicting quarterbacks. We all suck at it. I just want to point that out.
Tua
Like,
wasn't bad.
yeah, but like we go Bryce,
week 2
we
for
got
AR.
Fields. Well, Fields playing good, but we got Trey Lance.
Jalen Hurts
How
was
about
top 2
Jordan
in MVP. Jordan Love was one of the best. Tua was really great. Purdy was really
Stroud.
great. Stroud was really great.
Stroud was
Give us
easy.
Hey, everyone has hits and misses.
Oh,
No,
dude.
our misses though. Zach,
And
Trey
honestly-
Lance.
No, it's just the one tweet is cursed.
I mean,
It's
the
just the
thing
one
is,
tweet
I-
is
That
cursed.
shit is evil. I really am only keeping it up because it's comedy.
It is funny.
It's evil.
I mean, listen, you're not the only one, though. I mean,
Nah, not
the
at all.
Scouts had Bryce Young as the number one
Of
quarterback.
course.
You guys were
I
high on
wasn't
Bryce
going
Young.
in just blindly thinking, yeah, this guy's it.
He just looks
I thought
completely different.
at a
from
minimum,
college.
be better than last year.
His college tape is one of the most fun you can watch.
And that was an Alabama team. Sorry to cut you off. That was an Alabama team. You didn't have Smitty
No,
and Waddle and
no.
just first round pick after first round pick out there.
No, his sophomore season, the year that he won the Heisman, he had Jamison Williams. The year after that, if I'm not mistaken, that was when he was simply by himself. And that's when he was really struggling. Or not struggling, but just not looking like the Heisman guy that obviously we saw his second year. But again, I really don't feel a type of way at all. They made the right decision. I respect Dave Canales for this decision as well. He's trying to put it out there that I want to show you. 1, I'm head honcho. I make the decisions here. What I say goes. 2, it is not my fault that this offense is this bad. It is Bryce Young's fault, who's bottom 2 in almost every single statistic that you can look at. I also can look at the fact that he is also understanding our offensive line really didn't play that bad against the Chargers. Really didn't get pressured almost at all. But this guy, Bryce Young, simply was incapable of making good decisions and accurate throws. I don't feel one way or the other, especially for the fact of it was there for him to succeed, where you bring in Deontay Johnson, obviously an improved weapon from what he has had in the past. You go and you spend $100 million on Robert Hunt, although some may look at it as an overpay. Who wants to go to Carolina realistically? You had to do what you had to do. You brought in Dave Canales as well, a pretty solid offensive mind. There were things put into motion to benefit Bryce Young and to put him in a position to play better. Simply didn't happen in these 2 games. Deserves to be benched. Not good. What's next for him? Hopefully he can go to another team and regain his confidence that he once had. Obviously, he lost that in Carolina. I'm not looking at Carolina like they're completely not to blame as well. Obviously, rookie season, you put him out there and you're kind of just blindly trusting that he can just go in there and uplift what you had. Obviously, that didn't happen. There was way too much turmoil, way too bad of a situation for that to occur. But year 2, there was obviously a little bit of improvement, and he obviously has not stepped up to the plate.
So since 2011, there's been 431 quarterbacks qualified, yards per dropback, right? Where do you think Bryce Young ranks?
430th.
What was the number?
431.
He
431.
427.
He's the worst.
431st. Since 2011, all of the quarterbacks have come in, all of the busts, the Zach Wilsons, the Trey Lance, everybody.
Wow.
He has been by far and away, I don't actually know it's by far and away, but dead last out of 400.
So you're saying that Madden, I can change his name at this point because he's not going to be in.
Yeah, and for what? I don't know. I would switch up a lot if I made that River Brown. I'd
edit him
up
for
a lot
sure.
Of
You know,
yeah,
like,
9-9 speed.
Keep
maybe.
him 5'9" though.
Yeah,
I got to go up.
But I think what's next for Bryce Young is tough because when we see a lot of these like reclamation projects, Geno Smith, Sam Darnold, everyone's expecting that or just assuming that if a quarterback's in a bad situation, if they're in the right situation, they can work out. And sometimes that's true with Geno, with Sam Darnold.
Baker
Even Baker. That's a great point, Riv. When you have good coaching, when you have good weapons, things work out. But there are way more Zach Wilsons and Trey Lances and fucking David Carrs than there are Geno Smiths. Odds are Bryce Young's never going to be anything in the NFL, right? He was taken number 1 overall. I think even if you argued, right, there was debates with CJ Stroud, Anthony Richardson, all of these dudes in that top kind of 5 situation. No one had Bryce Young as a second-round talent. No one thought Bryce Young was going to go out here and be a backup-level quarterback. We knew the situation in Carolina. I guess at the time we thought it wasn't great, but we didn't think it was terrible, right? But we weren't expecting Bryce Young to be this bad. With the weapon situation, with the coaching situation, nothing has helped him up to this point. But Bryce Young also just hasn't helped himself. I mean, he doesn't take any shots down the field. The pocket awareness isn't great. The mobility is fine, but when you take into when everything else takes into account the lack of arm strength, the height issue where you can't see over the offensive line, mobility just doesn't make up for that. And when you look at what he did in Alabama, he was a fantastic prospect, right? Like you mentioned it, he was great. And as I said earlier, it's not like he was getting bailed out by 4.2 speed Jalen Waddle out there and all of these guys that we've seen past Alabama quarterbacks had. He had guys that were like, day 3 type wide receivers or guys that weren't even really going to the NFL. But he just doesn't have, and you mentioned this before, Joel, he just doesn't have a trait that you can latch onto that says this is how we build around him, right? He doesn't have that one thing, whether it's the size, athleticism, accuracy, touch. He doesn't have that one thing that a lot of quarterbacks have, right? Like for Zach Wilson, all of his flaws, and he has a million, just as many, if not more, than Bryce Young. He had an insane arm. He can make basically every throw on the field, very Drew Lock-esque, where his arm is super talented. It's just everything else going on between his ears that really screw him up. But Bryce Young doesn't really have anything of that. Like, at best, he was just average at those traits. So it sucks because when you get drafted number 1 overall, you have these crazy expectations. You're expected to save a franchise. And he was put in a situation that you have a new owner in David Tepper who wanted his hands in everything. He wanted Bryce Young. He wants to pick the GM. He wants to pick the coach. He's in a situation that usually for 99% of teams, if your owner is doing all that stuff, you're probably not a well-run organization. The only team I could think of is the Cowboys. Who have not had playoff success, but regular season wise, they've been decent at drafting. They get a lot of wins. Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb, they got a good team and all of that. But there's a reason why, Brett Veach with the Kansas City Chiefs are doing their thing. There's a reason why you have football people in place to make football decisions. When you have owners and all of this going on, it just makes things even more difficult. So it wasn't just Bryce, not living up to his standards. There was a lot of other things going on. But when you watch him play football, when you watch the tape, when you watch the film, there was no redeeming quality that you could look at. And I think that's what Dave Canales saw. And I also think this is good news for Panthers fans, right? Because you missed out on Bryce Young. It is what it is. You also have to figure out, is Dave Canales real? Does Dave Canales know how to run an offense? Can he be the head coach of your football team? Because if you let Bryce Young go out there and play 17 games, sure, you might get the number 1 overall pick. This upcoming class doesn't have a dude with Caleb Williams, Trevor Lawrence. Like I saw a mock the other day, Quinn Ewers was the number 1 overall pick. Quinn Ewers is nowhere near those type of guys as prospects. At a minimum, with Andy Dalton, you can see, can this offense be competent with a quarterback who isn't Bryce Young bad, but at least should be able to run an NFL offense?
I have Deontay Johnson in fantasy, so I am brutally hurting at the moment.
You should be thrilled. You should be fucking elated.
Oh, well, now I'm lit. But
Yeah.
prior, dude, it was
the mud.
very hard to just look at my team and see a guy
was
have
on the
like
bench.
4 points. Yeah, it was rough. I think what makes this, and Bryce Young getting benched is definitely tough, especially just as a confidence. His confidence was already low, but like getting benched as a number 1 pick in year 2, in game 2, for game 3 is really, really something quick. It's something that probably shatters your whole reality of what you expected of the NFL. I think what makes this worse, though, is like when Zach Wilson, you guys drafted him, there was no picks attached. You didn't trade up to get him. You didn't do any of that nonsense. Trey Lance, yeah, but then they bounced back pretty effortlessly, like the Niners. Even like guys like Justin Fields who went pretty high, they didn't really, it was no picks or nothing insane. The haul that went for Bryce Young was so ridiculous, it only makes this move 30 times worse. This is probably the worst trade in NFL history. And this is probably the worst number 1 pick in NFL history. I mean, this is just for the fact that you traded essentially CMC, DJ Moore, Caleb Williams, offensive lineman, I think a cornerback too, and a couple other picks, if I'm not mistaken. But a lot of stuff for this one player, and he is literally not about to finish his second year as a quarterback for the Carolina Panthers. He's coming off the bench for Andy Dalton. And I think Andy Dalton at this point in his career is just a journeyman. He's probably a strong backup for a team that has a good starting quarterback. You do not have that. And I think for Carolina, who is trying to direct in that rebuild, you started off your rebuild poorly. You don't have a quarterback, and I think that is the most important part of a rebuild. Not everybody's going to have Chicago where you have a team in place. Now you bring in the quarterback. Not everybody's going to have Houston where you don't have a team, but you brought in your quarterback. It just, even with Jacksonville, they brought in their quarterback. They had a pretty shitty first year, second year essentially bounced back. They also have to figure out their situation because their situation looks terrible too. But with Carolina, they've just failed in all areas. And now you have to look at this situation as, how can we bounce back from it? Yeah, we failed. We take that accountability. What are you going to do with Bryce Young? How are you going to evaluate your next quarterback? Because you missing out on this, you trading as much as you had for this type of player is pretty eye-opening. I mean, for Brian Burns, CMC, DJ Moore, they sent out more picks than they got back. And those are high-level players. Like, those are players who left and had career years. Well, not Brian Burns, obviously, he just left. But CMC went to a Super Bowl. DJ Moore had the best year of his career. So it's a pretty shitty situation, and you got to kind of look yourselves in the mirror like, damn, we really make a mistake. And I don't know how you bounce back from it. You can either bounce back from it in a good way or in a bad way. But just for Bryce Young, I mean, this is just a total hit to his career. I remember he was on, what's that football show? If I'm not, what is it called again?
What football show was he on?
It was
What was
him,
it about?
It was him, AR, and they was on. It was their last year of high school, and they were like filming it. Mm-hmm. I forgot what it's called, but I just seen it the other day. You went from that. You were pretty much a superstar in high school. You were a superstar in Alabama.
Legend,
like you were a walking legend. You had all these goals and aspiration, and had all these expectations. And now you might be a journeyman or a backup or potentially out the league. So this is something that's definitely heartbreak.
Before you go, Joel, I have a question. Because this is something that probably should have happened last year, where you start Bryce Young off the rip, and obviously the situation wasn't.
Tom Brady talked about this.
Did he?
Yeah, he talked about this.
Why didn't Andy Dalton start all last season? If now it's in a situation where you forced your hand and you had to sit Bryce Young down, now his confidence is shot. For when he gets another opportunity, he's obviously going to be thinking, there's a chance I can sit down if I don't play at the highest of levels. If they would have taken that approach, obviously 3 years in college, is a Heisman winner in that time period, gets drafted, goes to Carolina. Their best weapon's a 33-year-old Adam Thielen. Why not just put in Andy Dalton, who you brought to the team to be a veteran for Bryce Young? Why not start him, give Bryce some time to sit and learn, as opposed to what has happened now, where I respect Canales for at least admitting he's not ready to start. He's not meant to be a starting quarterback in the National Football League right now in 2024.
A year too late.
I think that's a valid point, and I do think that NFL organizations rush out quarterbacks too quickly nowadays, and we're seeing what development could do with a Jordan Love case study, Patrick Mahomes case study, and I think J.J. McCarthy is going to be one of those guys up next because I think he's going to play really well when he gets a chance.
Drake May in that conversation too.
Drake May also is sitting to start the year. I think the first thing that I come to terms with this move is that this was an organizational failure from top to bottom. I'm going to get into the organization first, and then I'll get into Bryce Young. I think there is something to be said when Sam Darnold and Baker Mayfield were in your building. They both failed miserably, and now they both look really good. Baker Mayfield has had a full year of that, but even Baker Mayfield, as a rookie, went to an 0-16 team, went 6-7, and threw for 24 touchdowns to 17 interceptions, I believe. So Baker Mayfield, even as a rookie, was really damn good. Or I think it switched around. It was 27 touchdowns to 14 interceptions. So Baker was good. He was just unhealthy in his down seasons. Sam Darnold, it's a wait and see this year. David Tepper is the worst owner in the NFL. The fact that he forced, because I think this is what happened, I think that he forced the staff to take Bryce Young.
He did.
I think that Frank Reich was hell-bent on drafting C.J. Stroud. I think that was going to be the pick if Frank Reich had it his way. But David Tepper got involved. David Tepper got involved when Cam Newton had a shoulder injury and he felt like he was losing the locker room, and that's why Cam Newton was benched as well. David Tepper gets involved in football decisions. The situation of the Panthers is one of the worst in the league. It's hard to ask any quarterback to go in and succeed when you are the number one overall pick. And I remember doing this exercise with you guys when Bryce Young was heading into the league. I said, if you look at the last 10 quarterbacks that were drafted first overall, Bryce Young, from an attribute standpoint, is the most underwhelming one by a landslide. The person right in front of him was Jared Goff. And I think Jared Goff has more physical traits. He's 6'4", he has a strong arm than Bryce Young. Bryce Young was just an underwhelming first overall pick. And when I look at his skill set and what he does on the field, there is nothing you can latch onto. He had 18 completions for 84 yards. Adam Thielen was wide open. Bryce Young had a clean pocket, and Bryce Young ran into a sack by rolling out. Bryce Young takes sacks that he's not supposed to take. The Panthers were in field goal range. They're at the 36-yard line, and the first read wasn't open, so Bryce Young rolls out. That's good. And instead, he's looking down the field trying to make a play, but nobody's open. And instead of throwing the ball away, he takes a sack that knocks the Panthers out of field goal range. And Robert Hunt is there with his hands on his head like, man, what are you doing? If Dave Canales didn't bench Bryce Young, the entire locker room was going to be out on him. Because let's just be real. If the last two games that Bryce Young had, from a statistical standpoint, if Brock Purdy had those same two games when he first got a chance to start with the Niners, granted, different situation. I understand the Niners are a stacked team, but just take the situation away. From a stats standpoint, if any quarterback that is not a first-round pick has those games back-to-back, they're not playing. They are going to get replaced. Bryce Young shouldn't have had a long leash if he keeps playing this poorly. And Dave Canales deserves a lot of credit because I do believe that with Andy Dalton in the offense, this offense is going to get some first downs. This offense is going to look workable. I don't think it's going to be one of the best offenses. I don't think it's going to be one of the worst, though. The Panthers, through the first two games, have a 25% success rate on offense. The only team that has been as bad through the first 2 weeks were the 2002 Texans, an expansion team with a rookie quarterback in David Carr. Yes.
David Carr.
That's how bad it is right now. And we talk about Sam Darnold and Baker Mayfield, but Bryce Young doesn't have a great arm. He doesn't have great athleticism, and he's a smaller quarterback. Quarterbacks that are short, it's an outlier for them to succeed. Kyler Murray is different. I mean, he was a first-round pick in baseball, too. He's just an elite-level athlete. Russell Wilson has one of the best deep balls in NFL history for a guy his height. And just in general, Russell Wilson is that good, and he had elite athleticism at his prime. Drew Brees was elite from an accuracy standpoint and reading the field and diagnosing coverages. Bryce Young doesn't have any of those traits. And the trait that got him drafted was the playmaking ability, but he is not athletic enough to evade defenders at the NFL level in the same way that he was able to in the college level. Now, the one thing that you could give him grace for is that it's clear that his confidence is shot. It's clear that he's probably going through one of the most difficult moments in his life, and I feel for him for that. Maybe there is another situation for him where he can rebuild his confidence and look like the player that he looked like in college, but as of right now, playing on the football field is not the best way for him to do that.
Absolutely.
What's up, John?
I'm very glad you let me chime in here because
Bryce Young guy.
this has been brutal. If I could describe the Panthers' offense watching it through
Like
two
the
games,
Steelers, right?
it looks like you took an offense from 1949 and then just plopped it into today. And for Bryce, I think you guys all hit it perfectly.
Oh, wow.
His escapability and playmaking from college has not translated at all because he is an average NFL athlete, and the arm strength has been average. But the pocket presence has been a clear indicator that the confidence is completely gone. Some of the sacks he was taking, it was like, dude, just throw the ball away. And he's looked like a broken quarterback for over a year now. And Andy Dalton's going to come to make this offense better. I don't think anyone can deny that. But when you look at the Bryce Young trade, this is going to go down as one of the three most consequential moves in NFL history. Not just because of what you gave up, the opportunity cost of Caleb Williams a year after, DJ Moore, Darnell Wright, a good right tackle. I know things have been perfect so far in Chicago, but Tyreek Stevenson was also in that move. But because the Carolina Panthers in the last 2 years have traded DJ Moore, Christian McCaffrey, as Riv said, and Brian Burns all before they turned 26 years old, and the only first-round pick they got from those three players was Bryce Young. And they gave up more first-round picks in the process of making that happen. When you look at the Carolina Panthers, Joel, it is absolute organizational incompetence too because it's not all on Bryce. I think last year just completely broke him. And then you look at Baker Mayfield and Sam Darnold. Since they've left Carolina, those two quarterbacks have been uber productive in multiple different situations with multiple different coaching staffs. And I think all things considered, this is Dave Canales doing the right thing because if he did not bench Bryce, there was a good chance this becomes the first team to ever go 0-17. That's how miserable. I mean, 6 points a game. 36 points allowed.
6 points against hilarious.
36 points a game allowed. Think about that. Even defensively, things have been completely broken. I mean, their best at cornerback, their best player on their defense now that Derek Brown is out, and J.C. Horn is getting torched week to week. So this is his way of trying to win back the locker room and making the most of the situation. Because for Bryce, he's got a lot of flaws. I've lost a lot of my faith in him after these two games, but I think him sitting and resetting is going to be the best thing for him in the Panthers move.
And it's tough too because you go on Twitter and people are like, Bryce Young should go here, Bryce Young should go there. Unless Bryce Young is going to a situation where you have an elite play caller, you have elite offensive options, and you have a decent offensive line, it's not going to work. Like I saw, look, the MFL football, whatever, that big account is like, the Giants should go out and trade for Bryce Young. I'm like, are we serious right now? Like the one thing the Giants need right now is or the one thing Bryce Young needs right now is the New York Giants. Like, I think it'd be a great, you mentioned on BR, Joel, like, if you want to go be a backup for Brock Purdy, be a backup for Tua, get in an offensive system that has creative play calling and has some good offensive weapons, and one of those quarterback goes down and you have to start for a game or two, and maybe you could be efficient and be accurate and kind of get your mojo back, get your swagger back, then go in free agency in a couple of years and see if you get a 1-year deal with another hopefully offensive-minded head coach with some weapons there. But to try and go somewhere where you could potentially be a starter probably means that team isn't very good, probably means you have either a first-time head coach or a head coach that is on a hot seat or not that great. He just needs to go to a situation where he could chill, be a backup, be in a good system with a good quarterback room and a good offensive staff. Don't try to go out there and just flip it on its head and be like, yeah, let's go be the head coach, or let's go try to be the starting quarterback for the Vegas Raiders or for the New York Giants, where it doesn't feel like it's going to work that way.
It'll be interesting to see who ends up making a move for Bryce Young, because we see that great play callers, they take swings on guys. I mean, the 49ers had Trey Lance, but they brought in Sam Darnold to compete for the backup job, and then they let Trey Lance go. And Kyle Shanahan was a fan of Sam Darnold. Once Sam Darnold became a free agent, look who signed him, Kevin O'Connell, a great play caller. If one of these guys picks up Bryce Young, it'll tell us how they feel about him, that they think that they can maybe fix him. If none of them pick him up, I think it's also telling us something, that they aren't very high on the talent that got him drafted first overall. There are 7 teams right now that are 0-2.
Let's do it.
Which teams are we panicking on? We got a meter from 1 to 10. The first team, the Cincinnati Bengals.
I have my panic meter at a 4. They just played an amazing game versus the Kansas City Chiefs. They were a call away from being able to come away with the victory. However, I have mine less than, of course, 50%, understanding that this isn't even an offense at 100% strength. And even still, the offensive line is always going to be a concern regardless. We haven't seen the best version of Joe Burrow. We haven't seen the best version of Jamar Chase. And we haven't seen T. Higgins at all step onto the football field. We saw a great scheme by Lou Anarumo versus the Kansas City Chiefs. And obviously, there was a strong mismatch on that left tackle side. And we saw Trey Henderson wreak havoc on it. There's still great pieces. Cam Taylor-Britt makes one of the greatest plays that you'll ever see a defensive player make. There's talent on this defense. There's talent on the offense. They will have better games to come. And immediately they go and they lay a beating Monday Night Football against the Washington Commanders. That's what we expect. That's what we're anticipating. But now 1-2, the noise is definitely a lot less. And now people are back on Cincinnati's bandwagon.
I think based off history, we're probably only going to get one of these teams to do it. They're all fighting a pretty historic outlier here. With Cincinnati, listen, I'm not going to be the guy who's a bad apple, but I'm not going to sit here and give them a shit ton of praise because they played a great game and they lost. That's just not something I'm going to do.
It's a fair point.
They may have been a play away, but they did lose to the Kansas City Chiefs, and they did score 10 points against the New England Patriots. This team is 0-2 for a reason. This defense is not good. Their offense seems to their offense and defense, honestly. Like, the Chiefs game is weird because they just seem to play at their best when they play Kansas City. This is 2 samples of 2 different teams from back-to-back weeks. I feel like we saw the best Cincinnati we saw last week, and they lost. And then prior to that, we saw the worst Cincinnati has looked, and they lost. So right now, 0-2, I would say I'm at a 5.8. I'm definitely adding some decimals in here. I'm feeling a little bit cautious. Keep my eye over there, trying to stay consistent as possible.
5.8 is an interesting number for me. 5.8,
I'm gonna go.
You might as well have just said 6.
No, because I'm not at 6. I'm not at a 6. I know what a 6 feels like.
Flirting with 6.
Yeah, I'm flirting.
I'm at a 0. I don't feel. I don't feel any panic with this team. This team's gonna make the playoffs.
Can't wait till we get the ball.
They have one of the easiest schedules in the NFL. T. Higgins is gonna come back. This offensive line actually has been pretty. It's been better than I expected. I mean, last year was one of the worst in the league.
For sure.
And this year, they're below average, which is a big improvement from where they were last year. But yeah, I think Jamar Chase is going to play his way into shape. I disagree with your statement about the Bengals defense being bad. I think the Seahawks defense is good, and the Patriots just put up 20 points on them. Now, I think the Patriots are just not getting enough credit, but the Bengals defense against KC, I mean, they showed us that what they could do. Trey Hendrickson could take over a game. He had back-to-back weeks where he makes opposing teams bench their left tackle. That's how good he's been. And I think this secondary is really good. I think Cam Taylor-Britt's going to have a breakout year this year. He's going to be one of the better corners in football. And I like the Mike Gesicki move. I mean, now they have a tight end they can actually throw to who's more of a receiver, and he's been contributing big time in these first 2 weeks. So when you get Chase, T. Higgins acclimated, you have Gesicki, one of Yoshi Voss or Jermaine Burton step up for a big time play here or there, I'm fine. The Bengals have been here before. They started out 0-2 in 2022, and they went to the AFC Championship game. There's a history with this team, and that's why I'm not panicking on them, not one bit.
I'm not worried either. I'm at about a 2 for them. Next 3 games, you mentioned Washington. You get Carolina after that, should be 2-2. Then it's Baltimore. That's going to be a tough game. But then you get the Giants. So this is a team that very easily could be 3-3. After those games all settle. The only issue I have, and it's funny with the Bengals because I think there's obvious holes on this team, right? I think the run defense is definitely questionable. You have Jamar Chase, as you mentioned, trying to play into shape. You have T. Higgins coming back from a soft tissue injury. Those sometimes can linger, not sometimes, a lot of times linger, but they're also the team that you probably trust the most going up against Kansas City in the playoffs. A couple of years ago, they beat Buffalo in Buffalo against the Ravens. That's a toss-up any given time. So when you compare them to these other teams in the AFC they're going to face in the playoffs, I think every time Joe Burrow steps up to the plate. So I think they'll get right these next couple of weeks with some easy opponents.
And now, Dehls, you can stay on the topic with the Baltimore Ravens. What's your panic level for them?
I'm the same. I'm at a 2. This was a bad loss against the Raiders. I'm not going to sit here and sugarcoat it. We gave the Patriots, gave the Bengals hell for losing to the Patriots. And week 1, there's no excuse for the Ravens to lose to the Raiders on 10 days rest after starting 0-1, losing to the Kansas City Chiefs in the fashion that they did. It was a weird game, right? It was a really weird game. Credit to the Raiders in that fourth quarter because this was an offense that was really stagnant. I mean, this was like a 6-3 game late in the third quarter. Gardner Minshew in that fourth quarter, just Minshew fucking magic, man. They were able to get Devontae Adams going. Brock Bowers had himself a game, 9 receptions, almost 100 yards. But the Ravens have just shown over these last few years, if Lamar Jackson's healthy, they're going to get into the playoffs. They're going to compete for the division. I'm looking at the Steelers who are 2-0. I'm looking at the Ravens who are 0-2. I trust the Ravens infinitely more than the Steelers the rest of the way. And once we get to the playoffs, let's see if the Steelers even make the damn playoffs, John.
Oh,
They
will.
do make it. You can't
They
really
will.
say that.
I mean, with that deficit, Dehls, you're not a long way to go because they got the Steelers twice. And they're not going to win both
They
those
do.
games.
Steelers play.
They're not going to win both those games.
I would say I'm at a 5, understanding that this offensive line is boo-boo. It's not good. And I have my worries about these weapons, understanding that Mark Andrews, Isaiah Likely, Zay Flowers, they're very good options. But are we going to see them utilized to their maximum potential? Mark Andrews has really not been relevant these first 2 games. He was definitely more prevalent in this game 2, but not really used in game 1 at all. Isaiah Likely was all world in game 1, pretty irrelevant in game 2. Zay Flowers was okay game 1. Pretty solid versus the Raiders for sure. Derrick Henry had himself a pretty solid ball game, but this offensive line is not that great. And if you can let in less than 4 minutes the Raiders go and score 10 points, this is where I start to have my concerns because the defense was supposed to be one of the more for sure parts of the unit. And honestly, so far, statistically, it has been still really good, but losing to the Raiders is unacceptable. So that's where I would say I'm at a 5. I still think that, yes, this is a playoff team, but when we talk about the Ravens, we're talking big picture, and that's why I would have my panic meter a little bit higher than normal.
I think the Ravens are a 5 for me as well. And they're a 5 because, and I know that face you're giving me, but you get the Bengals at 0. There's a difference with both teams. When the Ravens lost all the talent they lost in the offseason, we kind of just shrugged it off and we said, hey, listen, they'll be fine. They got Lamar Jackson. They got some superstars still. The offensive line is the biggest concern with them.
Easy.
Right now, they rotate right tackle with Rosengarten and Macari, and that happens throughout the game. They rotate the right tackles. Their left guard, Voorhees, has been absolutely abysmal, and their right guard, Velez, has also been absolutely abysmal. They have 3 positions on their offensive line that are turnstiles. That is cause for concern. The play calling with Todd Monken, Derrick Henry has not been able to get integrated in this offense in a way that you want him to be. In the first half, he played well against the Raiders. In the second half, he didn't really get the ball like that at all. And you start questioning the play call. With John Harbaugh, he is a special teams coach. That's what got him a head coaching job. Your expertise has to be in game management. It's not. He has one of the worst challenge records in the NFL. He is a terrible clock manager. I think that's also a concern. This is the first time since 2020 that a Lamar Jackson Ravens team has started 0-2. The first time since an MVP has started 0-2 since 2004. These are also things that I'm a little bit concerned about. But then
Payton or McNair?
It might have been, was it Rich Gannon? I don't know. It was one of those.
Gannon won in 2002. That's why I'm wondering.
It might have been McNair because I know that he did win. Did he win MVP
They
once?
co-MVP.
Okay. All I know is that Lamar Jackson is the first MVP to start off 0-2 since
Just curious if you
2004.
know.
Their red zone offense conversion rate last year was 62%. Through 2 games this year, they're 3 for 7. They haven't been as good in the red zone as an offense. Their defense allowed a touchdown on 41% of red zone trips last year. This year, it's at 50%. That's a 10% increase. And last year, they were the best team in terms of turnover differential in the NFL at plus 12. This year, it's been even, and that tends to regress from year to year. This is the biggest concern with them, though. That defense is not elite. Right now, they lead the league. They're number 1 in plays given up that are 20-plus yards down the field at 10. And you might be saying, well, they faced KC week 1. That's why. They gave up 5 against KC. They gave up 5 against the Raiders as well. A Gardner Minshew-led team, you gave up 5 plays of 20-plus yards. This secondary looks worse. Opposing quarterbacks are 15 for 15 for 112 yards and a touchdown using play action against the Ravens. This defense cannot guard the play action. Their defense last year allowed 26 points or more twice. This year, they're already at 2 with the Kansas City Chiefs and the Raiders scoring that many points or more against them. Lamar Jackson is 1 for 9 for 39 yards on attempts, traveling 20-plus air yards down the field. And since 2023, Justin Tucker is 1 for 7 on kicks that are 50-plus yards, and he has 4 misses in a row. We see right now a Ravens team that's offensive line is one of the worst in the league. We see a defense that is giving up explosive play after explosive play every single week. It's just been 2 weeks, granted. We also see a offense that I think they have some good weapons. They don't have any elite level weapons. They struggle to separate against great defenses and really good physical corners. And then they have a kicker who once was very reliable, who's not as reliable anymore, and a coach who's on the downhill, not the up and up. This Ravens team, they're 0-2. You mentioned there's only 10% of teams
12
have 12% of teams
since
or 12 total teams.
No, okay, so it was since 2012 only 2 have done it. But before that, it was 12%.
I know it's a 10% chance to make the playoffs after you start off 0-2.
Percentages are really fucking low.
When you look at ESPN and their playoff predictor percentage, the Bengals right now are number 1 at 44%. The Ravens are still number 2 at 41%. So they still have a halfway chance of making the playoffs pretty much. But between them and the Bengals, the Ravens concern me the most because they lost the most. They lost a coordinator. They lost offensive linemen. They lost key defensive players, and all that matters.
Oh, go ahead, John. I was just going to add one thing.
Very good. You go.
The Bengals, I think you can make an argument about, some of the issues they have, but we mentioned their schedule. The Ravens are the opposite. They got Dallas coming up. They got Buffalo coming up. They got Cincy. They're in Dallas. They're in Cincy. They're home for that in-between game, whoever I just said.
Buffalo.
So, Buffalo. These next 3 games, I mean, if they keep playing the way they've been playing, like 0-5 is not the realm of possibility. On the other hand, if you're able to patch some things together, and I think the offensive line it's going to be hard to patch that together because I think that's just a talent problem they have right now. Defensively, of course, you change defensive coordinators, but you still have some high-level talent there. So I think there's a bit more optimism there, and it's the Raiders, I get it. But the first 3 quarters, they were playing great defense, and that fourth quarter, shit, really just fell apart. But what scares me the most is these next 3 games, you're going up against high-level teams who are expected to be in Super Bowl contention. You need this game against the Raiders to be 1-1, and maybe you can survive. You could go 1-2, and it's like 2-4. All right, not the end of the world. Now you're sitting here at 0-2, and you at a minimum have to win 2 or 3.
Yeah, I'm keeping consistent. I'm at a 5. I'm at
So
a 5.
Bengals are at 5.8.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have more concern than the Bengals. I'm sorry.
By 0.8. You're going to be on him for that?
You think the Ravens
It
make the
should be the
playoffs?
same if he say the energy is consistent.
All right.
Ravens make the playoffs still?
I mean, if the energy was consistent, you shouldn't have a fucking 5-point spot between the Ravens and the Bengals.
You the one that said you the one that made that statement. I didn't make that statement.
0-5.
I was
There's more concerns with the
What did
Ravens.
you say? You gave both of them a 2?
Both
I
a 2.
didn't
I
hear
think
what
both
you
these
said for
teams
the
are
Ravens.
playoffs.
The
Put
Ravens
one at
have a
0.
tougher schedule.
0?
They do.
The Ravens have a
Concerns?
way tougher schedule.
No, that's just being
It's
biased.
not. Well, it's the first place schedule versus last place. That's not
0's nuts.
0 was a bit
because I'm
compared
not.
to
It's
5.
Joe Cool. That's his nickname. Joe Cool.
Yeah,
I'm cool
that
too.
was extreme
I'm
bias.
cool.
Me, I'm going to continue
cool.
the consistent route I've been because I am an evolved man. and that's the route I'm going to take. I'm going to continue to be consistent. I'm at a 5 for Baltimore.
I love it.
5.8 or 5?
I'm at a 5 for this.
They're
one.
missing the playoffs.
I'm keeping.
That should be over. That should be
no. First of all,
overreaction.
7 of these teams, 6 of them are missing the playoffs. Let's just get that out the way.
This
Maybe
guy's
even
gonna be
7.
on top.
It's
Yeah.
possible. Cool.
He's gonna be
I
on
don't
top.
really care if he does or he doesn't. You know what I'm saying? I'm not really like this.
It'd be
Cool.
crazy if we lost to Washington.
Yeah.
Put some money on
Spoiler.
it.
That's my lock of the week. They better not fucking
It's a good
lose.
lock.
I'm staying consistent. I'm keeping an eye on that offensive line. I do agree. I think that offensive line is going to be relatively
Facts.
one of the worst all season. Defensively, new defensive coordinator. Like you mentioned, the talent is still there, but that secondary, Marlon Humphrey looks a step slower. He looks like he's regressed slightly a bit. You still got Kyle Hamilton. You still got Roquan Smith. I do think this group that's talented will get it together. Keeping my eyes out. I'm monitoring the situation. I would love to see Derrick Henry get more involved in this offense. Really, really would love it. But just what happened against the Raiders, I mean, Max Crosby literally just said, fuck it. I'm really like that, and took the game over in the fourth quarter. And then Gardner Minshew, Devontae Adams, they did their thing. I think the Raiders' loss was definitely a bit more concerning than the New England loss with the Cincinnati Bengals, just because of the way it happened. Fourth quarter, you're up 10 points.
Gag.
You end up losing. You end up choking that league, and then you choke that game, especially with Baltimore. The way they were playing, they kind of came out a little bit sluggish in the beginning of that game. The game wasn't perfect. And even then, the 10-point win is still not moving me. If you're a Baltimore Ravens fan, team against a Raiders team, you should be blowing out these type of teams. So it definitely
Facts.
shows that the lack of talent from last year as opposed to this year is there. I think the defense is still really good, though. I think they'll be able to bounce back. But I'm at a 5 for it. I'm definitely cautious. I'm definitely keeping my eye open. But I'm not overly, panicking. So I'll go with 5.
John, what you want to add?
I'm at a 6 for this, and there's a real
Shocker.
possibility people aren't ready for that the Ravens are missing the playoffs this year. Last time they start 0-2. Can you guys guess the last time Baltimore finished 0-2? It's been a while. They won that year. 2015 was the last time Baltimore finished 0-2. But in 2021, they missed the playoffs, ironically, that year. In their first game, they lost to the Raiders. Maybe a little bit of correlation here, but I don't know how you can't be worried about Baltimore. Their schedule this year is brutal to start. Like you highlighted, Dehls, those 3 games. But then the last 6 games of the season, they've got the Chargers, the Steelers, the Eagles, and then you've got, of course, the Browns, the Texans. There's really no easy games outside of the Commanders. And then a little bit later on, they also get the Broncos. But to lose 3 of your starting offensive linemen is a huge loss, not just for the establishment, but of course the chemistry, and we're seeing that right now. And then the loss of Mike McDonald, something I think a lot of us didn't really look at enough, because we're seeing they're not getting the same out of their guys from last year, and that is probably top 3 defensive mind in football. So between that and the offensive line, what are you laughing at?
I see myself there.
Oh, yeah, it's funny. But between that and the offensive line not looking good, outside of Tyler Lindenbaum, there is a really good case the Ravens missed the playoffs this year.
No, he didn't even give his take with the Bengals.
John.
Hi.
Thing.
6 for the Ravens. Bengals get.
Bengals get a 4. And
Thank
here's
you,
why.
John. He is smart.
Number 1,
You're right.
schedule's a lot easier. Number 2, their defense looked a lot better this week. I have a lot more faith in their secondary development. It's a young group. And then, like Joel highlighted, getting back T. Higgins is going to be a really big addition.
Maybe it will.
Mike Gesicki is going to be a nice 3rd to 4th option in the passing game, but I don't think the Bengals should be void of any concern, because the run game's still not there. And just all things considered, this is a brutal division. It's hard to see more than 2 teams making it. And one of those is going to be my Steelers.
I was going to say, the Steelers are already 2-0. So, I mean, they already got
got
a
a
leg
lead.
up on these.
Justin Fields.
Is yet to throw a turnover.
Now, John,
yeah.
put yourself in split screen because we're going to speed through these panic meter ones.
All right.
Next team, the LA Rams. What's the panic meter on them?
It's a 10. It's an easy 10.
55.
It's an easy 10. This is a team that offensive linemen are down, top receivers are down. This defense sucks. They're not making the playoffs.
This was the only team I had a legitimate flat-out 10 for.
Now,
Oh,
Dehls,
yeah?
Only team I had a flat
I have
10.
a question for you, because this is important for our conversation that we've had in the car. Matthew Stafford,
Yes,
he won the Super Bowl.
he did.
The year after, they lost everybody.
Yep.
He got hurt. He did not play. I asked you. You made a list. I remember you made a tier list, and I asked you, why is Matt so low? You told me to my face. You was like, I just got to see it again. That's all it was. Got to see it. Banged up.
And
Oh,
last year,
this was last year.
Yeah, you
going
don't know
into
when the
last
Rams.
year?
Yeah. Then he goes out and he reminded you.
He
I'm
sex
still
on a TV
one of them
screen.
dudes. So I'm gonna ask you again. Obviously, we think they're gonna be dog shit.
Yeah.
Their team is hurt, banged up. It's nothing Stafford can do. I'm sorry, bro. It's just life. Next year, they retool. Are you going to come in and say you don't think Stafford still has it?
No,
Or-
Stafford's that dude.
Okay.
I was just too low on him off
Okay,
rip. He
okay.
should have never been. I don't remember what tier he was, but he was too low.
You had him extremely low.
Yeah.
I will say the Rams are my only 10, but they are a 10. Look at how many injuries they have. Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua.
And Tre'Davious
Their
White is
offensive
done.
line is hurt. Darius Williams, their corner is hurt. Their secondary sucks. Tre'Davious White, it was clear that he's not the same player.
I feel
but
bad for him.
There's nobody that should have realistically expected for him to be the same player. I got a question for y'all real quick, and you can start this off, Drew. If there's one team that, let's just say in a hypothetical world, the Rams trade Matthew Stafford, what is that one team you want to see him go to?
Miami.
Minnesota.
Even if Tua comes back. Let's just say Tua comes back and, he doesn't go to Miami.
All right.
Outside of Miami.
All right. I won't say Miami then. Where'd you say Minnesota?
No offense to Sam. Like real shit, no offense to Sam. You have an opportunity to make the playoffs. But you have the opportunity to win a fucking, maybe not win it, but get to a Super Bowl if you plug out Sam and you plug in Matthew Stafford. I'm talking about sex. Like real nasty sex. Stafford, Jettas, Addison, TJ, Aaron Jones, Brian Flores.
that's
that
crazy.
defense,
It is.
brother, that's...
Do you think if Matthew Stafford went to the Steelers, they're contenders?
Steelers were going to be my answer. If Matthew Stafford went to the Steelers, they should be the favorites to win the division, and that's a team that could go toe-to-toe with the Chiefs.
I like Minnesota better. They only have George Pickens.
They got more offensive weapons, 100%.
But the defense is so
OD.
elite.
Is it nasty of me to say the Saints? Imagine him with Rashid Shaheed, Chris Olave,
That'd
Alvin
be kind of
Kamara.
crazy. It's a few teams.
Like, I know that Derek Carr and him
Easier
are
conference too, right? You don't got to go through
But
Mahomes and Josh.
You have an amazing defense. You have some really promising offensive weapons.
Cleveland?
What's that reminiscent of?
I've got
His
that.
first year with the
Cleveland
Rams.
just swap him and Deshaun.
You
Wow.
just did something. The offensive line, though, that's where I
They
need a
banged
little
up, but if they
cleanup.
get help,
Cleveland doesn't deserve him.
They don't.
No.
Not at all.
no comment.
They don't.
John, what's your answer?
Miles
I've got
Garrett
one.
deserves him, man.
It's a fact.
No, he doesn't. I've got one
you're
for
saying
y'all,
that,
which
you
is very
fucking
cold-blooded.
I was gonna
Jared
call you
Goff has
something.
been him the last 2 years.
Back to
He
Detroit.
doesn't live up to that expectation that he set for himself, Detroit.
John, I love
Matthew
that
Stafford
answer.
goes back home, and they support him this time to win a Super Bowl.
That
Love
would
that
be dope.
answer.
That'd be really
That would
cool.
be
Love
dope.
that
There's
answer.
a
That
few-
would be
There's
cool.
a few spots that he could go do.
They
a shot.
retrade, bring Goff back to the Rams. Then-
I
about
like
the
the
Titans?
Titans. Oh,
Oh,
yeah,
shit.
nah.
No, they made some
Yeah,
good
get Will Levis out of there, man.
Titans firm too.
So now, Drew, you had the Rams at a 10. You could go in on
They're
it.
the only 10 I have for the fact that there's expectation coming into the season with them that are 0, of the teams that are 0-2, and they're the most banged up. They're the one in the worst position by far, so they're my only legitimate 10.
John, you got a 10 too?
Rams are a 10 for sure. They've had so many injuries. Aaron Donald's gone. They traded Ernest Jones, and even Darius Williams and I are a team like the Panthers. On the other hand, they'd be off the scale. They'd be like a 12.
Did you
Okay.
post that TikTok, by the way?
Not yet.
Okay, no problem,
Not
no
yet, because
problem,
I'm gonna caption it and make it look better. So, John, keep yourself on split screen because we're gonna speed through these. Jacksonville Jaguars. What's your number?
I'm going 8. I like I said before, we had a conversation before. I don't know if Trevor Lawrence can uplift this roster. I don't know if he can elevate this roster. The offensive line, like I said before, they just don't have dogs in the trenches. This defense is very poor. It's banged up. The secondary is a hit or miss at times. And outside of Brian Thomas Jr. and Evan Ingram, because I feel like him and Trevor Lawrence have
Solid.
a really nice connection.
hurt now, though.
Yeah, he's hurt. But outside of them two, even Brian, like as a rookie, is crazy. Christian Kirk, Gabe Davis, this run game, I'm not all the way in love with that. I do like Tank, but Travis Etienne up and down. So I'm at an 8 for sure.
I'm at an 8 as well. The Jaguars are 28th in EPA inside the 20 in 2023. This year they ranked 29th. They're 11th in EPA outside the red zone. So everywhere else, 80 yards of the field, they're a top 15 offense. But
Can't
in the red
fucking
zone,
score.
they're one of the worst offenses. And this is on Trevor Lawrence right here, this stat. Lawrence's 4.4 yards per attempt on throws, 2.5 seconds or less, only rank above Will Levis and Bryce Young. And on those throws, he has a negative 23.2% completion percentage over expectation, and that ranks last. They're about to face the Bills and the Texans. They're an 8 for me, but they could easily be a 10.
Yeah, they're at a 9 for me. I mean, you could, like you said, you can make the argument for number 10. I think the only reason you don't is just you look at the Rams with all the injuries. It's like they're screwed. The Jags are probably screwed. You had to get at least one win against the Dolphins and the Cleveland Browns. This offense it's tough to watch sometimes. The defense can make up for it, like against Miami for how high-powered of an offense that is. I thought they did a pretty good job. Cleveland Browns offense is a bit of a mess, so it's hard to gauge really, any defense that goes against them. But this is a team, expectations, you make the playoffs. This isn't a growth year for the Jaguars. This is a year where you have to go, win 10 games, make the playoffs, and ideally win a playoff game. I don't think if you miss the playoffs, Doug Peterson is fired. I'm at a 9.
I'm at a 9 for sure. I look at this offense, it's a mess. Doug Peterson is a mess. Trevor Lawrence is one of those. He's like the golden child, where the rest of them obviously are still messed up. And even still, sometimes the golden child doesn't act like the golden child every single time. So I look at this team. So it's not one that I am excited about. I said it early on in the offseason. Not many teams I like in the AFC South. The only one that I would vouch for was the Texans. And we're going to talk about the Colts in a second. Yeah, so I'm at a 9 for sure.
I'm at a 7.5 for the Jaguars, where I don't think it's hopeless just yet. They always play the Bills very well. Beat them last year. They got them this week. One win against Buffalo could kind of get them back on the right track, but just on the field, if they utilize Brian Thomas more, I think Trevor can play much better football. And generally, I think they still can get to 9 wins, but of course, I'm a little bit worried about too long. Them just getting the most out of them.
The Indianapolis Colts, the next team. This is interesting because they did have expectations coming into this year. People had them as a dark horse playoff wildcard team. Riv, what's your grade?
I'm at a 3. The reason why I'm at a 3 is because I haven't loved what I've seen from AR. I think the expectation coming into this year was we had Gardner Minshew last year. We almost made the playoffs. AR in those 4 games showed us that he can be explosive. He can make plays. He's going to give you those inconsistencies. But for the most part, he's a better playmaker than Gardner Minshew. We expect him to come in and us to be a little bit better. Against the Texans, he was high flying. He was great. He had his moments where he wasn't good. He was up and down. Against Green Bay, we saw his lows are truly one of the worst lows in the league. This secondary truly has no talent, in my opinion, out there. Their front 4 is really good, but their offense, outside of Michael Pittman Jr., A.D. Mitchell, I like it. I just don't think AR is at a point where he can carry this team or he can make those big-time plays on a consistent basis. In the 50, 40, 60-yard bombs, he can do that. But in an intermediate, in the short, when sometimes he needs to just dink and dunk, or he needs to break down the defense. I don't think he's at that level to where he can even do it at an above average level at this moment. And like Drew mentioned on the last team we were talking about, we had expectations for the Colts to be extremely competitive, to fight for this, or at least fight for second place. And even though all these teams are fighting for second place with no wins, I just don't have a good confidence about this Colts team. Like, I feel better about the Minshew-led team as opposed to this.
So wait, you
team.
said 3.
Yes.
So you're not really panicked.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm at a 6. I apologize.
Okay.
Yeah, I did it all backwards.
I would also say
Jesus Christ.
it's all right. I'm at a 7 right now. I say that with the idea that AR has not looked good. Has some awesome big plays, and those big plays definitely move us in more ways than one. However, you have this game versus Green Bay, and yes, they are a respectable defense, but you can't have the best pass blocking unit and you have the worst completion percentage in the National Football League. That's where you lose me. Your rush defense also sucks. It's horrendous. 2 weeks in a row where you've gotten absolutely torched. Why Josh Jacobs and now Joe Mixon. And Joe Mixon, although he did just get banged up versus the Bears, even when he started, really wasn't that efficient. So I do worry about their defense also. So to me, I already said it. The South, not a good division. So where I'm staying pretty firm. I said 7 or 8.
7.
All right, I'll stay at 7.
Yeah, I think 7's right because the 7 is mostly coming from this Green Bay game. Houston, you were competitive in and it went down to the wire. It was like a 2-3 point game. And the reason why it's a 7 is because partially what they've shown is kind of what I've expected. Like, I expected highs from Anthony Richardson. I've expected lows from Anthony Richardson. I thought this defense would have moments they would show up. I thought there's moments this defense wouldn't show up at all. So through the first 2 weeks, it's kind of what I've expected. But against Green Bay and Malik Willis, and they scored 13 points, and you can't win that game, and you're stuck at 3 points for like 58 of the 60 minutes of the game, that's where it gets bumped up, where, if this is a game that's a 3-point game and, Green Bay gets a weird fumble at the end, they score a field goal, I'd be at like a 4 or 5. But the fact that you couldn't get anything going on offense for the entire game, that bumps it up.
I'm at a 6 with them. One of my knights in shining armor, DeForest Buckner, going on IR.
Yeah.
And obviously, with that defensive line, they've been
Top
getting up a
front
lot of
seven
yards
league.
in the ground. A lot of yards in the ground. Still getting the quarterback, but with Buckner going down, it's a huge problem. And I think with Anthony Richardson, it's a great case study of a quarterback who has the highest possible ceiling and the lowest possible floor. So far this year, he's leading the NFL with 16 yards per completion. His completion percentage. Anyone want to guess?
It's
50%?
Isn't it 49?
It's
49% through 2 games.
That's so ugly.
He's just not hitting the easy ones, and he really is like the raw version of Cam Newton. And I think that's kind of rearing its ugly head at times here. Well, Cam was super NFL ready, not as a passer,
Yeah,
but
no,
all
that's what I'm
things
saying.
considered, day one was an immediate star. But yeah, he's just like the super raw version of Cam.
I mean, we can't grade the Colts on a curve because relative to expectation, this is a team that should be panicking. Their rush defense is absolutely terrible. Josh Jacobs, their rushing attack, the Packers' rushing attack, had 237 yards in the first half. That's the 4th highest mark since 2000. Their secondary is not good. Juju Brent, who was their second best boundary corner, he's on IR. John mentioned DeForest Buckner being hurt. Latu injured his hip versus the Packers as well. A lot of injuries to this team. And last year, they go 9-8 with Pro Bowl quarterback Gardner Minshew. Anthony Richardson comes and takes his place, and we're expecting the offense to reach a higher ceiling. And the highs of this offense are better, but the steadiness that Gardner Minshew kept this offense at also cannot be overlooked because he hit those easy ones and he kept this offense flowing. But the one stat that concerned me the most coming into this year was that the Colts were winless when they lost the turnover battle. And Anthony Richardson is a turnover-prone quarterback right now. He throws into harm's way. I think this is easily the worst team in the AFC South. And the next team in the AFC South, the Tennessee Titans, I give them a 3. I'm not panicking at all. I think the only issue with this team is the quarterback. But their rushing offense looks good. They have some good pass catchers. Their defense looks great. The only issue is a quarterback.
Yeah,
and
literally.
they don't even have much invested into Will Levis. It's a second-round pick. It's the same as the Broncos drafting Drew Lock. If he doesn't pan out, who cares? It gets a second-round pick. They don't have much invested. So for me, there's really no panic on the Titans. They could easily be 2-0 right now.
I was similar. I had them out of 4. The defense is awesome. The offense looks good outside of, unfortunately, the main piece in the quarterback. Yeah, they've been in 2 great games, and unfortunately, they've sold both. In a different world where maybe a different quarterback is starting, we could be talking about the Titans being tied for first in their division as well. So yeah, I'm staying firm at a 4. This team just needs a new QB.
Yeah, I'm not worried either. Sorry, Riv. You guys mentioned it. This is Will Levis, right? If Will Levis today said, you're getting sat down, Mason Rudolph, you're starting, I'm like, all right, this is probably like a 2 or a 1 because this team should be 2-0 if it wasn't for Will Levis. But everything else has stood out, right? Calvin really had a big breakout game in week 2 against Sauce, had an insane catch, 2 touchdowns. The defense has showed up Jarius Sneed. Everything that we were expecting from this team, basically except Will Levis, has been proven true. So once that time comes, which I think could be any week now where he gets sat down, I think the Titans are going to start winning some ball games.
I'm at a 2 because I just feel like they're a quarterback away from being a playoff team. You know, I feel like Will Levis, like you watched them go up against the Chicago Bears and they completely gawked it, really mainly Will Levis. And then you watch them go up against the Jets, who were considered in most people's eyes a contender in the AFC, and they could have legitimately won that game. If they had a great quarterback, they could have probably won that game comfortably with the way that Tennessee was moving. So I think all things considered, their defense is really good. Offense, they got some nice pieces. Calvin really had a big ass play that was dope as shit. I don't know how he caught that against the Jets.
I still
Do you think it was a good throw or no?
No, it wasn't a good.
Catch
Did
was
you see?
crazy.
Did you see how the fuck he had to
Give it
get
up,
that
please.
catch?
Give it up, please.
Did you see how he had to get that?
Oh,
bro?
I saw it.
It was on the floor. He had a fucking.
The shit was like he really had to. You saw Sauce holding in that game. They wasn't calling it, right?
What
What's
else
that
is
about?
new?
It's because DeAndre Hopkins hit Sauce's face mask.
That was
first.
actually Sauce's probably worst game as a pro.
Everything's
past
just
week.
falling off the cliff, huh?
I guess so. Right?
Everything's just fucking.
No,
up
he was
there.
terrible.
cooked.
He was terrible.
1-1.
Give me 2-1.
Yeah, they should be thanking their lucky fucking stars
cooked.
and Braylon Allen.
Will Levis had Jets money.
Player to
line.
score 2
Hold out.
touchdowns.
My concern level for the Titans would be about a 3.5. I think the funniest tweet that I saw this week.
I'm sorry, John.
I'm gonna
He just
pop that
Flick me?
mosquito bite on your neck right
pretty
there.
gay, yo.
I
The
do have
funniest
nasty
tweet that I
mosquito
saw
bites.
this week. Will Levis is what happens if you bought Josh Allen off Timu.
Just
your
go,
failure.
John. Just speed.
I like that tweet, John.
I did too. That's why I'm mentioning it. They don't really have too much that's to concern about outside of the quarterback position. Will Levis is making goofy turnovers. If he can stop doing that, He'll be a lot better.
John.
If he doesn't, Mason Rudolph's going to go in there and he's going to scorch some secondaries. And he's going to be a really damn good backup and show, hey, I could be a bridge quarterback in this league. I could be a top 32 quarterback. Maybe not a starter, because you want those young guys in that back end of the top 32. But I'm someone who can come in and contribute like a Jacoby Brissett, maybe a Sam Darnold now. And you guys are still giggling over here. But, yeah, no, I think Will Levis is really the only thing that's holding him back. And a 3.5 is about valid.
Will Levis or Justin Fields?
Fucking Justin Fields. Kidding me?
How far we've come.
Explosive. Hey, he had 70 theoretical yards taken away.
Am I crazy for having the Giants at 0? Like,
Bro,
what should
that's
they
real.
panic about?
OD, what is there to panic about?
You're going to go 0-8.
They're excited
Probably.
that Daniel Jones is so bad that they have.
I think they want to be bad this year. That's why I had them at a 0.
Yeah, I'm at a 0. There's no expectations for this
I
team.
guess 1.
Only thing I will say is the defense allowing the Commanders to score on every drive. That's the one thing that
To be
kind
fair,
of.
though, only field goals.
I know, but
know,
still,
like,
like the last drive of the
defense
game,
also-
you can't get a
Minnesota
stop
torched
there.
their
Also,
defense,
Malik
you know?
catches that ball.
Yeah.
God.
You know, that's
So
okay.
it's a 1.
What would you have the Broncos at?
What
Is it
did
an 8?
What did
I
I
have
write
them
them
at
out
an 8.
as actually?
I have
I have
them
Denver
as
as a 7. Yeah.
Okay, we were
Because our
close.
defense,
How is
our
Denver a
defense is
7?
awesome, and our
Giants are 0.
offense is absolutely fucking due.
I don't have no expectations for them. So like 3.
No, there was expectation for Bo Nix to come in and be
No, I mean,
They
decent.
draft
I'm
their
saying
quarterback
me.
in the first round.
No, I'm saying for me personally, I like you drafted a 5-year starter. I get that part. He expects to come in and be solid, but you have Cortland Sutton and a bunch of people
Thank
who
you.
possibly work at
At
McDonald's.
least someone's giving
I
you
don't-
Dehls,
you know, I don't-
Dehls read these numbers on a BR stream.
Oh God.
Bo Nix is
Why are we doing this?
6 for
he wanted
24
this.
for 154 yards and 3 interceptions on throws, 10 plus yards down the field.
No, he fucking
Now
stinks.
listen to this. He's 11 for 36 for 212 yards and 4 interceptions on passes 5 yards down the field. His 30.6% completion rate on those passes is the lowest in the league by 6% and the worst figure in weeks 1 and 2 in the last 10 years. And on throws between 11 and 20 air yards downfield, he is 3 for 14 for 58 yards. The average NFL quarterback completes 55% of his throws, and Bo Nix is at like sub 30%.
Shit funny because you can't even bench him because the dudes after him are probably
You got
worse.
Zach Wilson, Jarrett Stidham.
Honestly,
I think Stidham would play better.
it's Zach time.
It is.
Oh, Christ.
Brother.
We're here.
I think I have them. I probably have them like a 6 or a 7. Is there any concern? Like, does Sean Payton's seat get hot at any point?
I'm over Sean Payton. I'm legitimately over him.
If the Bo Nix pick doesn't work, he
He gets
be
fired.
Yes.
He gets fired.
Yes.
This because this was his big move. We moved off Russell Wilson. Good move. And we go and we use our first round pick. We don't draft Brock Bowers, who looks like the generational tight end, like he was deemed. No, we don't go in and bring in a position player like we desperately need, because our best weapon right now is Josh Reynolds. And do you know how much
Who's
that
on
hurts
Humphrey?
me in my heart to say? He is our best weapon. He's looked genuinely good. I'll say that. Cortland Sutton looks terrible. Greg Dulcich, I hate him. Javonte Williams is bad. Our offensive line is bad. McGlinchey just got injured. He's going to be out for weeks. Prayers, hope you're okay. He's horrible. I mean, it's legitimately as bad as it gets on the offensive side, and Sean Payton is supposed to be an offensive guru, and he legitimately has been terrible so far.
Yeah, that's why, like, quarterback head coach is everything in this league. And it looks like you don't have a quarterback, and there's a strong chance the head coach gets fired. And
It's a good thing you'll have a top pick next year and the next year.
Listen,
And the next year.
make me bad for 2 more seasons. 2 seasons.
Arch?
Be asked this year. Be asked next year.
bringing Manning.
Bring me a Manning, and we
Or-
run shit
or
back
Dylan.
again. I'm
Or
staying strong. I
Dylan
think
Raiola?
Last
Or
He's a
Nico.
freshman, right?
You got some dudes, bro.
Listen,
He's a freshman. You got some dudes coming.
it's Archer bust. Did you see he ran faster than Tyreek Hill has ran at his max speed? So
Arch
far this
Manning
Facts.
is the greatest quarterback.
I
I've
mean,
ever
yeah, that
seen in
shit's
my
funny because Daniel Jones also fucking was like the fastest runner a
Can't
couple
forget
years
that,
ago.
man. And then
Yeah,
Did
he
you
shit.
mention DJ Lagway?
Yeah.
He just had a terrible
He was,
game.
I was there.
Did you see
Fact.
his one before though?
No, yeah, against
movie.
fucking
Movie.
some bum-ass
Nobody.
school.
These freshman quarterbacks is tough to evaluate because even Dylan Raiola, I don't think has
Nah,
done
you couldn't evaluate
nothing
Nico.
extraordinary.
Nico from Tennessee.
Nico is playing really well.
Dog. You
Like,
need to-
I'm in on him.
Oh, Tennessee, I'm here.
There's 4 of them.
The Dylan Raiola thing is kind of creeping me out. It's a little bit too
No, he's
much.
doing.
Now, once he started
This
doing the
is-
pregame stuff, I'm like,
This is deeper than Kobe's.
But I
Like,
love
when
that
Kobe
he's
did
denying
it's
it though. Real.
He is denying it.
He's denying it.
Pretty.
He wears
obvious
the
what he's doing.
Oakley shades. No, he does everything to a T. Like he
You
does
would know.
everything to a T.
It's some shit you would do.
I never have worn
You
those
would
glasses.
definitely do
It's
that.
some shit
I
you would do.
wouldn't. No, I wouldn't.
Big bro.
he would
Mannerism,
dress up as
celebration.
Mahomes for Halloween. Just fucking wear it for a week.
It's not like I created a player in Madden superstar quarterback number 15, 6'2".
You have.
Who?
No,
yeah, you're
no,
right.
no.
I have. Who wears a one arm sleeve on one arm and stuff like that.
I'm gonna
The
vomit.
Carolina Panthers. We talked about them at nauseum. Now, next segment: real or fake? Which 2-0 teams are off to
do
a
it.
real or fake start? Just quick hitters. Kansas City Chiefs.
Real.
Real.
It's the Chiefs.
It's still
Best team in the league.
AFC Championship
Yes.
game or bust.
This is obvious. We're starting with the AFC. Of course, that's real. John, you giving your answer?
Real. I mean, it's hard to say it's fake. So
Buffalo Bills.
Real.
They're very real.
They've always been real. You know, we got idiots who pick Miami, other idiots who pick the Jets. Reality, it's been
You're gonna beat us twice this year?
It's been
Haven't
Josh
done it in a
Allen's
while.
division. It's always been Josh Allen's division.
Hey, I
since
said
Tom Brady
3-team
left.
race.
You know, you did it. You know what? I take that back. Drew was
Talk
not
a lot
an
of
idiot.
shit when the Jets could very well win the division still.
The Jets fucking stink.
Okay, keep that same energy.
They stink.
keep that same
Buffalo,
energy.
Josh hasn't lost.
Pick the
division
Patriots
in a long
against us
time.
this week.
I am.
I-
You're going to too.
I dare you.
You're going to too.
I might.
We're gonna
Yeah, I know
run
you
one.
are.
But it's different.
I know.
But it's
Thing
different.
is, I'm not worried about
It's a
Buffalo.
jinx. It's a
Like,
reverse
we
jinx.
see
with
y'all in
me.
the playoffs. I'm not worried.
What do you mean?
The Jets?
If you see Buffalo in the playoffs?
Yeah, no.
Why are you not worried?
Because I feel like
That
we
means
can
they
beat
got
you
there.
guys.
Do you not know Josh in the playoffs?
Do you? When we play against Josh
No,
and
no, no,
Buffalo,
no.
we play
Regular
well
season,
against
yeah,
him
To be
every
fair,
time.
your defense is not the same.
I don't care. We have his number.
You have his
You
number?
clearly did not see Will McDonald week 2.
He was great. 3 sacks.
I don't-
he
I
was
think
amazing.
Josh
Prayers
in the
for
playoffs is a
Jermaine.
different animal.
Hope
Prayers
Jermaine
for
That was
is
a
okay.
devastating
brutal.
loss.
That
That's
shit sucks.
It was a devastating. We
CJ
need
Mosley's
Hassan
also
Reddick.
banged up.
We need Hassan Reddick.
There's
badly
no
right now.
one that has a leverage like I've seen Hassan Reddick have
I think he's
while
lost
sitting
like $8
out.
million.
Tell you what, Jets win Thursday. They had fucking like 3 games in like 14 days or some crazy shit. Survive, go 2-1, get back in the motion
What
of
do you got
things.
to play Thursday?
New England.
You guys are surviving the Titans, New England, and Niners.
And
You
then
know how embarrassing
Broncos.
that shit
Yeah.
is.
I mean,
You have to survive that.
everyone's typing up New England. Tennessee win on the road. Solid W. Niners got
You
smoked.
should have lost.
We didn't.
You guys are just.
You're
I'm not
lucky
gonna say
that
you
Will Levis
stink.
fucking
Winners are
I'm not
sucks.
gonna say you stink. I don't think you stink.
No, I'm obviously using hyperbole, but at the
But-
same time,
Wait until week 9.
you're
Oh.
you're pushing
Wait, so
strong mid.
so we can't predict on the Jets, but you can call Geno top 10. I don't have to wait till week 9. For
What
that.
do you mean?
So I can't say the Jets stink right now. I gotta wait till week 9. But you can sit here and run up here.
You
Geno
can
better
call.
than
You
this.
can call the Jets stinky
You
right
just
now.
told me wait till week 9.
No, I said wait till week 9 to have a definitive opinion on this team's entire season's
I want to
outlook.
make an overreaction.
We
Maybe I thought
got
about it.
so many players that are getting integrated to this offense right now. Mike Williams just made a great catch week 2. He
OD.
didn't play much in week 1,
else?
but he played great in week 2.
Alan Lazar
Devontae
had
Adams
the-
is coming at some point.
Wait, what? Where did you
hey,
get that
I'm here.
from?
Bring Tay home.
I don't know. The way
My
the
fantasy
Raiders
team
are
will love
looking,
that.
I don't know if Tay wants to leave.
At some point,
Where
you're
did
gonna
you
see.
get that from?
No, I just have a feeling. Gut
I mean, if
feeling.
you get
No,
Tay,
we
obviously
need the
conversation
Raiders to
change.
start sucking. That's what we need to do.
Yo, someone should have made an overreaction about the Chargers defense. They're top 2 in every single defensive metric as
They've
well.
played the Raiders and Panthers.
Yeah, that's why someone should have did it.
Yeah,
Not
no.
there yet. And they
I
got the
think it was
Steelers
good.
this week, so
Okay,
it's probably gonna be great.
Steelers and Chargers both 2-0. Steelers fake or real?
They're both fake. Steelers are fake, but the real is that their defense will be the best in the league.
What's I can't call them
I
fake
think-
because
It's
they
fake
make the
because they're
playoffs.
undefeated.
They're
They're undefeated.
Well, the Steelers have one offensive touchdown. in
They
2
make the
games.
playoffs.
Both
I
these
can't
teams
say
who?
they're
had
fake.
make the
And we're gonna
playoffs.
score
Darnell
more
Washington.
touchdowns.
I can't say they're fake.
What'd you say, John?
And we're gonna score more touchdowns.
No, you're
And
not.
we're gonna win even more.
I mean,
No,
you're
you're
due
not.
for touchdowns.
True.
Both these teams
Defensive
can make the
touchdowns.
playoffs. Now these teams can win a playoff
Yeah,
game.
I can't
That's
say
how
that. I
see
can't
it.
call the Steelers fake. I can't.
No, you can. You
I
can.
can't.
No, they are fake.
Fake in terms of what? They'll make the playoffs.
Well, I don't know if that's such a guaranteed.
Well, I'm going
You
to
say
go
it with a
against-
lot of conviction and confidence. I don't know. If
I'm
it's
pretty.
that
I'm
set in
not
stone.
pretty confident about it, but I'm confident.
I
Justin
think
Fields
they
has
are-
0 turnovers in 2 games. It's not going to last.
Of course not. But what's lasted is their playoff like they've been to the playoffs.
I agree.
So that's what's lasted. Fuck all that extra shit. They get
So
to
wait,
the playoffs.
so we call them real if they're a playoff team? Because if that's the case,
I think they can.
I just
they
think
have
that they're
different-
undefeated right now.
They
They're
have
2-0.
different. They have different expectations than the Chiefs. Like the Chiefs, real or fake.
Like
is gonna make
here's
the Super
something.
Bowl.
Here's something similar. Well, I'm kind of going ahead. You're gonna say Minnesota, and I'm gonna say real because I believe that defense is good, but also their offense is also complementary to good.
Okay, real or fake? The 2-0 start, but coupled in with the fact that you think this team can actually win a playoff game.
Okay, that's where it's
Okay,
fake.
Chargers fake, Steelers fake. I don't think they can win a playoff.
Okay,
game.
he cooked.
Yeah, but I think they can make the playoffs.
Yeah, they're fake, John. You heard that?
Well,
He wanted to
all-
just construe it so it could be
it's
fake.
all relative, Joel. The Jets' expectation is Super Bowl. The way they looked, that shit ain't happening.
Can the Steelers win a playoff game, John?
Let me get there.
What's their? Oh my god.
The Steelers' expectation is making the playoffs. Their defense, as Drew said, not hyperbole, is the best in football. We have the best edge rushing group. We have very good linebackers relative to the last couple of years. Payne Wilson stepped in, been good. Patrick Queen's going to play better football, but this is what really stands out.
Patrick
to me.
Queen's going to play better
It always
football.
kills me when
He hasn't
somebody
played
goes to
great through
talk
2
and
games.
this guy kicks it into high
You know,
gear.
John.
He has
You
played
know,
great
John.
through 2
That
games.
Patrick
He can play
Queen was
better than what he
not
has.
good before Roquan Smith got to the Ravens, right?
Okay.
I told y'all about
That's-
Peyton
John,
Wilson.
I have
That's
a
all I'm
question
saying.
for you and Steelers Nation.
I want to say one more thing, please. Joey Porter Jr. is going to be a superstar.
He already
He's already
is.
shown that.
We knew that.
But across from him, Dante Action Jackson's playing decent. And along with that, Corey Trice, NFL debut, Drew. 18 coverage snaps, 1 catch allowed, 1 interception.
Nice, man.
Just 9 yards. He's a stud. If he stays healthy, with that safety group, Deshaun Elliott playing with his hair on fire, and Minka Fitzpatrick, this will be the best defense. in
John,
football.
question for you and for Steelers Nation. How many years in a row does it have to be where the expectation changes from making the playoffs to winning a playoff game or doing anything in the playoffs?
Crying.
Hopefully 0 more.
Because
Because I'm sick and tired of
Making,
this shit.
I get it. Expectations making the playoffs, it's dope compared to other teams in the league. Jets haven't done it in fucking 15 years. It's amazing.
Yep.
But at some point, man, like
Yeah, no, I get
we,
you.
we
Yeah.
gotta like
Gotta
you
step
gotta
it
level up
gotta
at some
step it.
point.
They
you
don't
know?
get. You
Just
know,
listen. I'm
that's-
tired of this dumb narrative that it's Super Bowl or bust for the Jets. To the outside public in the world,
Definitely AFC
that's what it is.
Championship or
That's what it
bust.
is, right? But as a Jets fan who hasn't seen the playoffs since I was in 6th grade,
My
I'm
God.
gonna be
This
happy
is
to
not
be in
a
a
pity
playoff.
thing.
Bro,
Dehls,
I'm not-
get
I'm
your
not-
man, bro.
Step
What
You
do
don't
I
trade
want to
for-
win a Super Bowl?
You don't
Yes.
trade for
It's- he's
Aaron
being
Rodgers,
pitted.
and it's not Super Bowl
This is a
buzz.
that's a
What I
pity
said on the last
expectation.
podcast is you go into the playoffs, you should be anyone, you should expect to be anyone not named the Ravens and the Chiefs. If we go in and we lose to Houston, I'm a bit upset. Houston
is a great team.
But so are we.
If we lose that game in a tight game, am I gonna be like, oh man, this season was the fucking worst?
If you
just-
lose
No.
in the second round, you failed.
If we get blown out, yes, I'm gonna be upset about it. But every team in the AFC is a great team to go against. Outside of those, like
it's just
mediocre
we
wild
have
card
like
teams.
a year, maybe 2 window.
Like
with
if
Aaron
we
Rodgers.
get beat by the Chargers, if we get beat by the Steelers, if we get beat by any team that's not Cincinnati, Baltimore, Buffalo, Kansas City,
You don't even
then
think Baltimore's gonna make the playoffs.
but I'm just saying, if they're in it, then I think that they got a legit chance. Obviously, they have Lamar
if
Jackson.
you lose, if you get a first round home game, you win the division, and you lose a close game to Baltimore, Buffalo, Cincinnati, I don't give a fuck about none of that. You failed. That is a failure of a
yes,
year.
but the Jets might just be a wild card team.
No, but then we'll unpack that when we get there.
Damn.
We'll unpack that when we get there. Your
You're
expectations
seeing
coming
reality.
in.
What do you
is
mean? The
AFC
Bills are
Championship
2-0
game.
I'm
right
fine,
now.
but I'm saying you're seeing reality.
What do you mean? I've
You think you can make the AFC
I've been
Championship game?
realistic on the Jets all offseason. I do think we can make the
Huh?
AFC Championship game.
No,
He's doing it again.
Yes, I have.
No.
Yes, I have.
No.
Yeah,
Don't
shit
make me
changed
pull
up.
up the schedule.
Yo, the Niners
Don't
really
make
did
me
it
do
to
it.
you.
I
Yo,
will pull up that
he
clip
beat-
right
Dehls
the
and I
fuck
went through that
now.
and we said we're gonna do this for laughs.
You're
what are you talking about?
lying.
We did said that, but I
What?
also
The Niners
What?
beat the
no, but I
expectations
don't
out
get
of
me
them.
wrong. I also believed it. Don't get me wrong. I
No,
also
Dehls is
believed
standing
it.
firm. He's standing
I
firm.
respect Dehls
The
had nothing
Niners
in him.
beat the
Don't
faith
do
out
that,
of them,
Joel.
bro. That's what it
Don't-
is.
And I see that
Bro,
smirk on
that's
your
what it
face.
is,
Don't
bro.
fucking
No.
do that.
You were the highest on the Jets in the power rankings relative to all
And
of us.
then I
Facts.
watched game 1, and it was obvious y'all were not
Okay.
what I thought. And game 2 re-emphasized it.
I'm not talking about your switching opinion. I'm talking
Okay.
about the fact that I thought we were a top 10 team, but I didn't have us in that upper echelon because there were still question marks that needed to be answered. And you told me, nah, man, believe this is the year.
Yeah,
Bro,
because you're a fan. You should believe. I believe
I
in the
believe in the
Broncos.
Jets.
We're fucking dog
Yes, of
shit.
course.
That's what you do as a
I want,
fan.
bro, at the end of the day, I have not seen the playoffs since 2010. I'm a realistic Jets fan. That's it. If we make the playoffs,
Realistic Jets fan.
I'm gonna be happy. Like
I'm gonna be happy
got
too,
used to
but we lose like even if it is to Cincy or Houston in
We're
round
not
one.
here
I'm like,
talking for happiness. This, what the fuck are we doing? No.
I'm not gonna feel like the
no.
Eagles losing to Tampa Bay and collapsing in the second half of the season. That's
They
how
went
I'm
to
not-
the
I'm not
Super
gonna
Bowl
feel.
the year prior.
Oh,
Come
and
on.
we
I
fucking
shit about
failed
that.
like
Yeah,
shit.
OD,
We
that
lost
was a
like
failure.
dog
It was
shit.
a failure.
And they lost.
That bring that up. Don't change the fact that if you lose in the
Also,
first
and
round,
also,
it's
listen,
a
not
failure,
that I'm
bro.
here playing sides. He saw a championship in his lifetime. I'm just saying. He
I've
saw them go also.
seen YouTube videos, bro. I know what it looked like.
Did you not have
I know what led up to that moment. Joe Namath promising.
What number did
a
Joe
Super
Namath
Bowl.
wear?
Number 12. What
All
are we
right,
talking
just
about?
wanted to see.
Joel, prior to the season,
watched the tape.
and I want you to be genuine. I want you to
What
be
team you
genuine,
beat?
obvious for me.
The Baltimore Colts.
All right.
What are you talking about?
Prior to the season, who's your top 3 teams in the AFC? And please, if you try to remember if you can.
Can I look at my power rankings or no?
I would love. I want the exact answer. Who was your top 3 teams in the AFC?
There's no way that the Jets weren't one of those top 3.
I definitely
Because it was, you know who it was, and I know who
I think it was
Chiefs, Bengals, Jets.
Chiefs, Ravens.
No, he had the Bengals.
Ahead of the
He
Ravens.
had the Bengals, yes.
Okay, I would love to find out.
Oh, apologize. Power rankings. That's fair. I'm thinking division seeding.
Well, he had the Jets winning division.
Correct.
I just think you
trying to
thought we
search
could
for
win the
this.
division. If we could win the division, that means we could beat Buffalo. We could
should
beat
be thinking
these.
AFC Championship
Like
game.
that
Okay.
should be at
I
least
got
a
it. I
playoff.
got it. In the AFC, the Chiefs were 13-4. Okay.
Yeah, I
Chiefs
love
at
this.
1, Jets at 2,
Yeah, stop.
Ravens
I
at
knew
3,
it! I
Texans
knew
at
it!
4.
Enough. That's all I need.
realistic.
Yeah, if you lose in a wild card, you're done. This is a failure. You just stop. That's it. End of it.
I can't change. Well, he changed his spin after week 1. I can't fuck around and change my
That's
shit.
what I said.
the fuck?
And I said
You didn't
you're
say- no,
seeing.
you didn't come here and say you wanted to change.
Joel,
You
and
said
then
you didn't
started to-
believe, though.
No, I said I had concerns.
And then you said
I
you're
had
realistic.
concerns.
And
I had
that's what I said.
concerns.
I said you're starting to realize.
If you would have
And then you
changed
said,
that,
what do I
we're all
mean?
for it. You can change.
What-
That's not how
yo,
you started this.
we got him again,
Yeah, you started by acting
I'm
like
try-
you
I'm
wasn't
trying to
there.
defend you, bro.
Oh, D,
I'm trying to help.
you
I'm
be
trying to
fighting a
help.
dead
I'm trying to
fight.
help.
You gotta stop.
I
Dehls.
appreciate you, Dehls.
Fight your own
But
fight.
the thing is, after week 1, we lost to the Niners. It wasn't.
Do you remember what he
You know
said
what I mean?
before that
Of
game?
course I
He-
do.
yo,
But
there's a-
honestly,
like-
fuck before the game. After the game, when we got smoked, it wasn't. We have to reevaluate. It's we're fine.
We are. I still believe in the Jets. I have concerns and question marks about them. But this conversation started. Let's go back to the beginning of this conversation. This conversation started with me saying I would be happy if we made the playoffs. All I want to do is make the playoffs. Once we get there, and I think we're gonna have a chance.
1 to 10.
But I
How
want to make the
embarrassing is that
playoffs.
statement?
How is it embarrassing?
1 to 10.
Walking in with that
You
team,
would have
he
killed.
changed his tune. That's all I'm saying.
You would have killed to watch the Broncos make the playoffs 1 year, even with Russ.
You need to. Okay, but
Even
if
if
we
y'all
would have
weren't
lost,
contenders,
if
you
we
would
would
have
have
killed for that.
lost, I would have been sick as fuck.
You would have been happy you made the playoffs. Stop playing.
Not really.
Yes,
if
you
we would have
would've.
lost,
You think I was happy we just got
You
into
might have
the
been.
playoffs?
You might have been upset about the
let me
loss.
ask you a
Of
question.
course, I'm gonna be upset
Let me
about
ask
the
you a
loss.
question,
I'm happy
bro.
about the Jets making
when
it.
we were making our run to make the playoffs, I wasn't hyping us up last season. When we were getting
Yeah.
high and we had that 5-game
He
beater.
thought
I
they
was
could beat
here.
any team in the
I
I was
first round.
here.
You were chatting.
I was talking
You were
crazy.
chatting, yeah.
Even though reality is the Broncos were, I was still here standing 10 with
Motherfuckers
my
getting 4
squad.
turnovers again. I was like, Drew, is that go last, bro?
Russell Wilson, 26 touchdowns.
gave
We're
him
talking
hope.
crazy. But reality hit, right?
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I still rolled with my squad.
Well, I think
Yes, but if you made the
difference.
playoffs that year, you would have been happy even if you lost.
No, I wouldn't have. I would have been
What?
chatting that we could have beaten anyone.
You-
Am I happy that we were in a race and we were?
Well, I think last
the
year,
moment, yes, you
last year
were.
with the way
If
you
you-
started, if you would have finished off, made the playoffs, Russ
If you
looks
got
good,
the
you would have
last
been hyped.
wild card
if we were
spot,
good,
stop
but
playing.
we win, I would have been. If we would have lost, I would have been sick.
Well, the thing is, Russ got benched in like
Obviously.
week 14, and then everything went to
Two different
shit.
expectations.
Obviously, if the Jets lose in the playoffs, I'm gonna be upset.
After year 1 of watching Russ be ass, year 2 is just, hey, be good. Just be comparable, be decent, especially with Sean Payton. You have Aaron Rodgers.
No, fuck all
please.
that. Drew, they told
I
me
know,
to my face.
I know.
Garrett Wilson,
Yes.
offensive player of the year.
Yes.
Brees Hall,
Cook.
offensive player.
Cook.
They were talking
Better chance than
2,000
Saquon.
2,000 all per. We could do that.
Riv,
But
you'd rather
2,000
miss the
no,
playoffs than make and lose?
No, I don't know what he's talking about at that point. But what I'm saying is you had
do you mean?
there was so much
say that.
so much grace and so much shit talking this summer about Garrett, Brees, Aaron Rodgers is playing. This defense is elite. We can do it. I'm not saying you switched up. You after the Niners game, you were just like, we got some things to work on, but we're still here. Now we're in week 3.
I've
and
also
I feel
seen
like you're
Super Bowl
falling
What am
off
I
the
live,
switching
train.
up on?
Can't
that?
forget
What
that.
am I-
I've seen
What am I
Super Bowl
switching
in my
up
life.
on?
Is it
now?
Just saying.
AFC championship
We're
or bust?
Yes, I think the Jets. That's what I want them to do. If
No. It's
if
not
we-
about a one. What are expectations? AFC championship or bust?
If the Jets don't make it far in the playoffs,
It's a failure.
everybody will view them as a failure. Everybody will laugh at Aaron Rodgers. Everybody will laugh at the Jets. We understand that.
Okay.
I am
No
just
good.
speaking from the perspective of a Jets fan who hasn't seen his team in the playoffs in 14 years. We have the longest playoff drought in the NFL currently. Even if we lost, yes, I'd be upset if we lost, but I'm still gonna be like, wow, this was the best Jet season I've
so
seen in
hypothetically-
fucking 14
So
years.
And that's embarrassing,
So
sadly.
hypothetically,
How
if
is
this
that
team, if
embarrassing?
this
That the
team
Jets
loses in the
franchise
wild,
fucking stinks.
I mean,
That's
you're
what
right.
it
It
is.
is.
if this team loses in the wild card 2 years straight, Aaron Rodgers retired. You're gonna sit there and be like, well, I'm just excited we made the playoffs. Like you're not gonna sit there and be like, no, we should have fucking
You said
did
2
more.
years straight.
Like it's like hypothetically, and you make it this year, right? You lose in the wild card. Next year, Aaron comes back. You make it again. You lose in the wild card. You are content with the fact that, yeah, we made it. But
You're
we
creating
lost.
a brand new scenario.
Well, no, I'm hypothetically asking because you haven't seen your team make the playoffs in whatever year it was. So if you're just excited to get there and lose, that's what you're.
I'm not
okay?
excited to get there and lose. I'm excited to get there.
So you would be content
I
with
never
that.
said lose. I'm excited to lose.
Can I put out a middle ground here? Can I put out a middle ground?
middle
Who said
ground?
I'm excited to lose? I said I'm excited to get there.
No, I'm saying would you just be content with the fact that y'all got to the playoffs? and whether
in
you
your
lost or not?
scenario, if this year the Jets make the playoffs and they lose in the wild card,
you're happy.
and next year they go and they lose the same way, it's disappointing. It's no different than the Sacramento Kings getting the 3rd seed in the NBA, them losing in the first round, but Kings still thought that was a
Difference is
success.
the Kings didn't get LeBron James.
The Kings don't have. They never
Aaron
had
Rodgers
a
is not
chance.
LeBron James.
You know what I mean?
That
Don't
shit was
fucking
crazy.
get caught
All
up in
I'm
that.
saying is that the Kings had a playoff drought.
It's like
they
Dame
made the
Rodgers, a
playoffs.
4-time
like Dame.
MVP. What the
The
fuck?
Kings are a bad example because at no point in the NBA season do we think they can go to the.
But
they
this
can go
is
to the West
the-
Aaron
Championship
Rodgers,
ever.
top 5 all time, top 6 all time.
I know, but
That
he's not.
last year.
He's
At
not
this
really a
point,
top
he's
10.
not.
See,
Right now, he's more of a top
best
15
case scenario,
quarterback.
he's a top 10 quarterback.
My
right now.
God,
No,
Who
he's
the hell
still-
came into the season saying Aaron Rodgers is top 5 in the league?
Yeah,
Who
LeBron-
said that?
yeah,
That's,
mean?
that's the only pushback.
You had it last year.
This is like
What
us
was it,
getting like
last
Donovan
year?
Mitchell or something. It's not like LeBron
Donovan
James.
Mitchell.
I said Dame.
Come on, bro.
And Donovan
Dame.
Mitchell lost in the first round with the Cavs.
Come on, bro.
Listen, this is my middle ground. I think there you have different expectations for different people. Us up here as Jets fans, we have this podcast, we're talking shit. I'm going to say Super Bowl or bust because number one, you have Aaron Rodgers, and number two, that's what the fuck we do. Other Jets fans, I think, have similar expectations. Win a couple playoff games. The real expectations for this Jets team, this coaching staff, to keep their job, a minimum of 1 playoff win. Realistically, depending how that second playoff game goes, if you get blown out in that second game, there's a chance you still get fired. That's the middle ground. The expectation for me, you should be up there with all these other teams because the defense last year was elite.
Yeah.
You're adding Aaron Rodgers, and this coaching staff's really the only thing you're worried about. But for majority of people, when you're looking at betting odds, when you're looking at just a normal fan base, normal people that cover the NFL, I think the expectation is win at least 1 playoff game and probably high-end AFC championship game. Let's not act like the Jets are the betting favorites to win the Super Bowl. I'm going to come here talking my shit because I think the Jets have the talent to do it.
We have the chance. That's all
Yes,
I want to.
yes.
I want to get in the dance. You can't think about doing salsa if you're not on the dance floor. I want to get on the dance floor first. Can we do that?
Miss me with your broke ass analogies.
Can we do that, please?
This all stemmed from the fucking Steelers.
But also, this is the
Damn
thing.
right.
I'm not excited to go to the playoffs and lose. I don't want to lose. I want us to go very far. But what I'm saying is that, do I think the Jets have a chance to compete? Yes. And what I will say is that if the Jets are just a wild card team, I'm wildly disappointed in this team. I think that we can win the division, and we should win the division.
Making this fucking.
What do you mean?
Happy. We made the playoffs.
Because I'm happy, bro.
Awesome.
If this is the first
try.
time in 14 years that I see my team make the playoffs, why the fuck would I not be happy? Even if we lost.
Kind of like the Steelers, like who make it every year.
No,
and
it's because they
lose.
make it every year and they're stuck in the
Cares.
middle. We've been dog shit and we finally have a chance to actually compete for something. Why the hell would I not
Like
be
you
excited
think
about
Chargers
that?
fans were
I
happy?
just seen betting
No,
odds. They had
here's a
Miami
good
over
one.
the Jets. I'm not looking
No,
at
but
betting
here's a
odds.
great one. Chargers haven't made it in God knows how long. Chargers made it in year 1 and lost to the Jaguars, right? Do
also
you
the
think-
way they lost.
They blew a 27-point
Do you
lead.
think Chargers fans were happy after that?
Because they
one?
lost a-
But that was the first time
They
they made
blew
it
a
forever.
27-point
They
lead.
made it forever.
The way they lost is
Think
tough.
about how long it's been.
the way
Oh
they
my
lost is
God, San
gross,
Diego's been in
though.
the mud. If I'm a Chargers fan, oh my God, just being there.
What do you
that is
mean?
so awesome.
They went 12-4 with Phillip Rivers a couple years before.
How many years ago was that?
That was in 2018, 2019.
What,
This is a
12 and
14-year
4?
playoff drought.
Was that 12 and 4
Yes,
in 2018?
the Chargers were an elite team that year. They
24
finished second in the
2018?
division. Yes, search it up. Search it up.
All right,
Roll
I'm
your history.
interested.
Stop playing.
I'll tell you what, Joel,
Don't compare the
who is
Chargers and
there?
the Jets franchise. The Chargers are a better franchise
happy
than
if we
us.
make the playoffs,
they're-
but I'm disappointed if we lose.
Chargers have done nothing
Are the Chargers
either.
not a better franchise than us?
They have no
The-
Super
The
Bowl.
Jets are bottom of the
like-
barrel. I mean,
It's like we have both an orange. We're eating it differently.
No. If you look at the Jets are a
Let's
bottom 5
see.
franchise in
the thing
football,
is
bro.
that the Jets have been incompetent, terrible for the last 10 plus years. The Chargers have had Phillip Rivers. They've made it to the playoffs. They've been in contention for the division. The Jets have none of that.
Oh, they also lost in the first round that year. But before that, yeah, pretty miserable. Damn,
I mean,
imagine that.
realistically, bro, the last 10 years, the 3 were like
yeah,
the Jets
but you're
and the
talking
Giants,
about a
like, those are the
3-year
two worst
playoff
teams.
drought versus
Hold
a
on.
14-year playoff drought.
Because-
we have the longest playoff drought in the NFL right now. Were Lions fans happy when they finally made the playoffs for the first time? Yes, they were.
They won though. You
yes,
know,
of
like-
course. They won their first
Were they
game.
disappointed when they lost to Dallas?
Who?
The Phantom call that got called back.
2,
The Detroit Lions when they
the
lost
regular
versus
season,
Romo.
saying.
No. I'm talking about when they made the playoffs and Matty Staffy.
How many times have you guys made the playoffs since 2000?
Riv, you're fucking up by getting off this point because Detroit was not happy that they lost that game.
No, I'm looking at
Who
this
the hell
Chargers
is
thing.
happy that they lost the game?
You're saying that a playoff drought, just making it is okay. That is a lie. Why they were super happy was because they won.
Yeah, no, they're not good.
Dehls,
The Jets are worse.
Dehls, since 2011,
Yes.
what has been the best Jets season?
2015.
2015, we went 10-6.
That's a good year.
But Fitzpatrick, also, they think it's a good year, but we didn't make the playoffs.
I understand that, but considering you're the Jets, yeah,
So
10-6,
if we make the
right?
playoffs this year, it's not a good year?
I guess.
We have
You have Aaron Rodgers.
I know.
It's
but I
Ryan
said,
fucking Fitzpatrick.
I just want to get to the
Come
playoffs.
on, bro.
I
That's
think
the fucking
I think we got a
difference.
chance, but I just want to get to the playoffs. If we get to the playoffs for the first time in 14 years, I'm going to be happy.
Playoffs is step
backtrack is
one,
insane.
but step one's not mission complete.
Of
Playoffs
course.
is step one.
No,
Like
that's
step
never
one-
mission
step
complete.
One, y'all not even wincing at the fact that y'all won't make the playoffs.
But you'd rather make the playoffs than not make it at
not in my
all.
mind.
like, do you think you think you're 100% no doubt in your mind making the playoffs, right?
Yes.
You
If we
do
don't
too,
make
right?
the playoffs, it's a failed
So
season.
then all this, we just make you believe that already. So the next step is what are the
No, the next step is
expectations?
actually doing it. It's one thing to believe it. It's one thing to also do it.
I mean,
To be
yeah.
fair, you definitely need to see it.
I mean, yeah,
I
sure.
can believe
I haven't
it all
seen it
I
in
want.
14 years.
Yeah, you did it, and yeah, you thought you could make the AFC Championship. So clearly, the fuck you didn't need to see
Yes,
anything
because
you
I think this
believed
team
it.
is
Listen,
talented.
brother,
So then
it's,
what are we
like, it's like
doing?
there's 2 minutes left in the Super Bowl. You're up 10 points. You need to see the game get over before you can start celebrating.
Jets
okay?
podcast.
I hate
And
it
in your
so
hypothetical
much.
scenario,
Love the Jets
in year
podcast.
one, if we lose in the playoffs, and in year two, if we
Pick a
lose in the
Jet.
same fashion, of course, it's a failed season. This is the first year I think we have a chance to go far. I'm not moving off the stance that I think the Jets will improve throughout the course of the season, and we will be one of the top AFC teams. That's still there. All I'm saying is that as a Jets fan, if we make the playoffs, it's going to be the happiest moment I've felt as a Jets fan since I've been a fucking kid.
Any scenario, in round one you lose, any scenario, you're still happy. Even if you
No.
get fucking blown out.
No,
Hell
not
no.
any scenario.
No, I'm just saying that
No.
you made the playoffs, right?
No,
you made the
I'm not
playoffs.
happy.
You just made it. Like that, you're just happy there.
I'm
right?
gonna be happy that Sunday or Saturday I wake up, Jets playoff football, and then that'll be it.
like even if you play Kansas City and you lose by 30 points, you're gonna be, we made the playoffs.
No.
It's upsetting.
All right, that's it. That's the whole point of the conversation.
Nobody said we're not going to be upset about a loss.
I'm not saying
Of
that.
course.
But you made the playoffs. You
You're
lost
just
by
happy to
30.
get there.
But you're just happy to get there. Is what I'm asking.
Yes, I'm happy to get
Sound
into
like
the
John with
playoffs.
the
I'm gonna be
Steelers.
upset about
Fuck
a
outta
loss. John, were you happy that the Steelers made the playoffs last year?
Fuck. Oh yes. I was
Were
happy.
you
It's
upset
different.
that you lost to the fucking Bills?
Buddy, it's fucking different. This is why it's different. The Jets' window to winning a Super Bowl is right now.
Fucking Mason Rudolph.
Aaron Rodgers is 41
They lost
years
by one
old in
score.
December.
Let John cook. Let John cook. John, cook up, man.
After Aaron Rodgers, there is no
Start
success.
that whole thing over.
We have
That's right. Start it over.
We have Jordan Travis looming.
The Jets' window to win a Super Bowl is right now. There is no succession plan after Aaron Rodgers. He is 41 years old. If you do not win a Super Bowl now, it may not be for a very long time. So while I think Dehls said it perfectly, it's really about winning one playoff game. That should be the goal. If you don't do that now with Aaron Rodgers, when will he becomes the question? Because it's been 14 years since the Jets have made the playoffs. It might be another 14 before they have a team this
Oh,
good.
shut the fuck up.
Because
I don't want to hear that
This is the window.
Steelers fan, right?
This is the window.
It might be another
You have to
14
pay
years.
all these guys.
We got a talented team, John.
But
No.
Let
Wait,
me ask you a question. The Buccaneers, right? When was the last time they made the playoffs before Tom Brady was on the
was a
team?
minute.
Right? It was forever ago.
a minute.
What was their expectation when they brought in Tom Brady?
Super Bowl.
Right?
No thought about
Right.
it. At least NFC Championship.
They weren't thinking, let's just make the playoffs.
Yeah, fuck all that.
They weren't doing.
But they
we
also
have
had
Tom
their team was okay.
Brady,
Their
and
team-
Tom Brady was under washed allegations after losing to the Titans too.
Their team was OD.
Can't forget that.
Their
That
team
team was
was
amazing, but Brady
fucking
also
good.
was Brady.
Well,
He
I'll
was
say-
pretty
I'll
fucking
say
When
great.
this,
Staffy went to the Rams, what was it?
Yeah.
No, OD.
Super Bowl
But I
OD.
think the Bucks team is interesting because
And the Rams were more stacked
No,
than the Jets.
but I'm not bringing up the Rams. I'm bringing up the Bucks
Yeah, yeah.
purposely for the sole fact they hadn't made the playoffs in a minute.
They also brought in Gronkowski. They had Godwin. They had Mike Evans. They brought Antonio Brown
Jets
as well.
brought in Tyron Smith. They brought in Mike Williams. They brought in.
It's not the same.
I'm not saying Super Bowl. I think AFC
You traded for
Championship is
Hassan
fine.
Reddick. What do you
Who hasn't
mean?
played yet.
But that's on y'all. That is on y'all.
Kind of
50-50.
Baldwin said he was
Something
going
on
to
both.
play without a deal.
50-50.
And also with the Rams, the difference, it was more dire for the Rams because they traded every one of their first round picks to make that
That's a
team.
fact. That's a fact. That's a
Jalen
fact.
Ramsey, Von Miller,
fact.
Matthew Stafford. They traded multiple first-round picks. They had no picks for the future. So it was all do or die right now. Yes, we don't have a succession plan after Aaron Rodgers, and that is concerning. So this might be Rodgers last year, it might be a second to last year. I don't know. Of course, in this window, this is where we got to compete the most.
He got
of
hurt
course.
last year, so you missed last year. You are on borrowed time.
Imagine y'all losing
I
round one,
think
he
the
says,
Bucks was
calling
interesting
quits.
because preseason Super Bowl, as the season went on, that was a team that got off slow. They were like 500 around the bye, so
I
you
thought
kind of
the
like
Saints
limp
would beat
into the playoffs. I feel like the expectations wavered throughout the season.
Oh, yeah.
So if the Jets go on this
I
run
know.
and they start dominating, the expectation should be Super Bowl. If they lose fucking 4 games in a row and then at the end of the season they win 4 in a row and you sneak back in, I think the expectations for the Jets are going to change throughout the season. Preseason Super Bowl contender. After 1 week, you thought we might not even make the playoffs, right? So I think as the season goes on, they're going to have highs, they're going to have lows, but minimum, you should win a playoff game with this team.
So, John, I just want to get your answer on this one final time. And don't give me no explanation. Were you happy the Steelers made the playoffs?
Yeah.
Were you upset you lost to the Bills?
A little bit.
A little bit.
Because we could have easily made that a closer game.
No, you could have with Mason Rudolph.
Sure.
Yeah.
If either
We didn't mention the Houston Texans if they're real or fake.
They're real.
We,
So
we all
real.
think they're real.
Come on.
Yeah. Now on to the NFC. New Orleans Saints, real or fake?
real.
They're real.
I'm in the middle with it.
Oh yeah, you're
Yeah,
not
but-
buying into them
No,
totally yet.
okay, see, no, when you word it like that,
Saints fans, get on him. He doesn't believe.
Who that?
What don't you believe?
what's the, can you ask the question like how you asked for the Steelers?
Can
What
they
am I-
win the division? Real or fake?
Yes, real.
Okay.
Can they
Can they win?
contend
For this Super Bowl?
in the NFC? Yes.
In the
Can they make
NFC.
the NFC Championship game?
That's where I'm in the middle with it. I don't want to say fake. I don't want to say real. I want to say, can I see a little bit more?
Because these other NFC teams, the Niners just lost to Minnesota, Philly just lost
But
to
the
Atlanta.
Niners, I think I'm fine. I think the Niners, I'm still very comfortable with them and their
you got
unit.
CMC banged up now. You got Debo banged
Their
up.
schedule coming up, like they don't have a shit ton of bad games.
Ayuk is working himself back into shape.
and they still
also.
have
Yeah.
Kittle. Jordan Mason's fine. I'm
fine. He's him.
The Niners cross them off for me. I'm not worried about them. Detroit looks a little funny. Eagles just choked another league. Dallas just got their ass kicked.
Dallas is Dallas.
That's why I'm not fake on it and I'm not real on it. I am in the middle of it.
I think real, they can win the division.
Yes.
Winning the NFC, I'm not there yet.
Yeah.
No, neither.
Real for sure they can win the division.
Yeah, it's just the Saints are. I mean, not the Saints. The 49ers are favorites. They have all the star power, but they're dealing with their injuries too.
Yep.
I think the Saints are real. This play action offense has really unlocked Derek Carr. I think what I didn't expect that has really been the biggest change in their team. It's not only been the scheme, and I know Alvin Kamara has the great numbers and stuff, and he's playing really well. This offensive line is actually really damn good. Like, Fuaga has been elite, especially as a run blocker. Lucas Patrick, their left guard, Eric McCoy, Cesar Ruiz, and Trevor Penning, he had a rep where he was blocking Micah Parsons well. This entire offensive line has improved, and Alvin Kamara, and when the Saints run in general, this offensive line gives them 3 yards before contact.
Incredible.
Jamal Williams was an inefficient back, and right now he's averaging like 5 yards per carry. Versus the Cowboys, he averaged 4.9 yards per carry. So I don't. It's not to downplay what Kamara's doing. I think Kamara's playing well, but this offensive line is giving him 3 free yards on every run.
it's been elite.
And this offensive line has been the anchor to this entire offense, and they're what I want to highlight the most.
We got any more teams?
Yes, the Seattle Seahawks.
Real.
They're real.
Offense is awesome. Defense is showing out. But I need to see it against different opponents first.
Yeah.
This is real for me. Wild card team that in the right matchup could potentially win a game.
I agree.
In the playoffs.
Yes, I'll go with that one. This I don't know if they'll win the division, but that one I'm cool with that one.
I think they're real. I think throughout the season, they'll get better defensively, just understanding the scheme more. I think their offensive line still needs to improve. Charles Cross has improved a lot. Once Abraham Lucas comes back,
facts.
and you have Connor Williams and Lucas and Charles Cross, now I think this team can play themselves into being a true dark horse contender in the NFC. That's how high I am. I'm on the Seahawks.
I'm with you. I think the Seahawks are only going to get better as the year goes on because it's going to take time for Mike McDonald's defense to really seep in. It's not the most simplistic one to learn. And as you guys highlighted, once the offensive line gets right, Geno's going to have a much easier time getting everything flowing for
We're
them.
always talking about seeping into something. Fucking guy.
The next team, the Minnesota Vikings.
Real. Defense is good, really good.
these
But I
blame
will
questions.
say, I will also say, I am a little bit concerned with They say that he's okay. It is a quad injury.
Day-to-day.
Should be fine. But that's one of those. Now we're in year 2 where now there's an injury that we're worried about. Although minor, again, that's not what you like to see. But I'll say real. I think that this coaching staff is amazing. Kevin O'Connell is going to be in contention for Coach of the Year. He's an amazing offensive mind. There's so much talent on this offense. Of course, you have Christian Darrisaw, who's one of the better tackles in the game as well. This is real.
Yeah, this is a team that can compete for a playoff spot. I'm not ready to say they can compete for the division yet.
Agreed.
The only reason I say more real for the Seahawks, because to me they're clearly the second best team. Clearly the second best team in the division in the NFC West. The NFC North, Green Bay gets love back. I think Detroit eventually figures this out. So I still think they're probably the third best team.
Are
in the
they
division.
clear second best?
Seattle?
Yes.
Yeah, I just think the defense is a lot better than Arizona.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
valid.
I respect that. Although I'll say this, against the Bills, I know they did end up blowing that 17-3 lead. They were getting pressure on Josh. Josh is just Josh.
They were just blitzing. They had a 3%
it
pressure
wasn't-
rate.
Which was honestly smart to do, especially
but
against
it wasn't
the
no
Bills.
like make me panic pressure. It was kind of like,
Nah,
oh, this
facts.
is cute. Like, you know,
They did
that's-
force a fumble.
And I still think a lot of offense for Arizona is Kyler, go make some magic happen. And he could do it, don't get me wrong, but I just like the system that Ryan
I
Grubb
think
has.
with Minnesota, I'm kind of, I don't know, because I feel like them, the Saints, and the Seahawks, I kind of look at all of them the same way. I think the Vikings have the most impressive win just because of how I view the Niners as opposed to Dallas.
Yep.
The way the Saints did it, though, of course, most impressive, but just going out there, beating the Niners at pretty much full strength outside of CMC, of course, but pretty much not only beating the Niners, but kind of like exposing them on both ends, just locking them down defensively, kind of being able to do whatever they want to do on offense outside of a few turnovers. I think the Vikings, the division is a lot more talented than the Saints division. I think with Detroit, when Jordan Love comes back, you got Green Bay. I do like that trio. And in Chicago, even still, I still do believe in Chicago. I like that, them 4 teams outside of, Atlanta, the Saints, and Tampa Bay. I think with Seattle, it's just going to be tough because the Niners are in it. But I think I'm in the same wave of like, they can compete for a playoff spot. That is real. That is legit to me. Can they win a game? I don't know. I just have to see who they match up with.
It just all depends on Sam Darnold. If we get a great version of Sam Darnold all year long, I mean, it's kind of like the Case Keenum year with the Vikings where they went to the NFC Championship game. I just have a feeling about this season that there's going to be a lot of unpredictable stuff that happens.
Sam Darnold's an unpredictable guy.
Yes.
We're seeing that right now. The Saints and the Vikings are two of the most surprising teams that break out so much. I'm with you guys. This is very real because they're going to get T.J. Hawkinson back later on in the year.
Yep.
The offense is humming. I guess what you got to say now?
He's not as
John,
upright
just
as usual.
fucking
definitely-
finish.
You have to
Flores'
understand, you shouldn't stop
defense.
when we talk.
And Brian Flores' defense has been on one. I do agree with Dehls as well. I don't think they're going to be a team that wins 11 games, fights in the NFC North, but wild card spot, absolutely.
Agreed.
I feel bad for saying this, but I think the Buccaneers are fake.
Well, that was your squad.
I don't. How can you say that if they beat the Lions?
Because I think the Lions are kind of overrated.
When I said it, people looked at me fucking different.
Nah,
I think if Jared Goff,
nasty,
if
yes.
Jared Goff doesn't play at the level he played at last year, they're done. They're not a
Do
true
you-
contender.
do you
but the
think-
Bucks defense hasn't played well.
They have. They
Okay,
have.
and
I
the
feel like there's no doubt.
offense. What's fake about it?
I mean, their offense didn't play that well against the Lions at all.
They had 460 something yards Detroit in
The
that
li-
game.
yes.
They still didn't
Offensive
score.
line
Zone
maybe
play.
the
Lions
concern,
had
but-
463 and the
There we
Bucks
go.
had 216. The Lions couldn't score in the red zone, and yes, that's a credit to Tampa Bay. I mean, they played an excellent defensive game. I also thought Jared Goff choked. He had 2 interceptions, and like the Buccaneers, yes, I mean when you allow somebody to get 5 sacks on you, that's kind of alarming. It is, Aiden Hutchinson's like the only player that can actually get pressure on Detroit. If they face better defensive lines that have more guys who can get pressure, it is a bit concerning. I just feel like
offensive lines, better offensive lines.
defensive lines.
Oh, okay.
Yes, because I think the Lions only have Aiden, and that's really it. DJ Reader's still playing his way back into shape.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
defensive lines against his offensive line. I don't know. I don't think the Buccaneers are as good as the Saints. I don't.
I
don't think they're as good as the Saints, but
you can't sleep on them.
low key, honestly.
you can't-
I'm just thinking of other teams that are kind of in that tier. I think the other teams talk about. I like Seattle more. I think I like Minnesota more. And then just other like playoff potential teams, Eagles or the Cowboys, one or the other. So I still think they have an outside shot for the playoffs.
I kind of felt bad if I just put every NFC team as a real.
Someone has to be fake,
I thought
you know what
somebody
I mean?
had exactly.
That's fair.
I'm under the same.
And
mindset.
Atlanta's still in the hunt. You can't forget about that.
Atlanta. I mean, if
They
they
just
would
put
have lost
themselves
last
back in the
night, I
fucking
think
hunt.
my sentiment changes. But that was a huge win for them.
Detroit's backbone in this offense has been their offensive line. So if their offensive line has regressed, that is going to be a problem going down the road. And if they better fix their red zone offense, because that was abysmal. You have that many points, you're moving up and down the field, and you can't produce enough points. It's kind of tough. And then even in the Rams game, their offense felt like, to me, up and down, scattered a little bit inconsistent, and their defense didn't look the best. So Detroit just got to get it together. But I don't think they started off like they beat Kansas City last year, but then the week after, if I'm not mistaken, it was Seattle. They lost that game. Yeah, and it was a clutch game. Unfortunately, I think either their defense folded or their offense folded. It was one of them.
I just think Detroit's too talented, too well coached to just fall off and be like a 9-win team.
No, they'll make the playoffs, I believe.
Oh, they're gonna win the division.
That's a possibility.
I mean, you need this the second year of your 3-year prediction.
I know.
You said win the division 3 years in a row?
Yeah.
Oh, shit. You gotta lock in. It's getting a little spooky.
Lose one game, that's it. Spooky.
Hey, we're doing
Week 1 was
overreactions.
close.
Okay, I guess.
What do you got, John?
For the Buccaneers,
Nothing.
Yes.
they're not a team that I can say is fake because their schedule is going to be a lot easier than many teams we've seen win the division. And I believe when we look at the NFC South this year, we're going to see 3 teams win 9 games. Far cry from the last couple of years, and one of those will be Tampa Bay. So I think there's somewhere between real and fake.
This week in the NFL/NBA, mine is that Trent McDuffie. You know, I called the breakout season last year. He was an All-Pro, and he lined up across Jamar Chase on 17 of 38 routes, 45% of routes, including 4 routes in press coverage. McDuffie allowed just 1 reception for 4 yards on 2 targets as the nearest defender against Chase. Week 1, Trent McDuffie was absolutely elite against the Baltimore Ravens, and he's continuing to do that. And as long as they have that one shutdown corner, they just have to have those rotational guys around him, and the Chiefs are going to have one of the best secondaries in the NFL once again. But yeah, when you put on that showing against Jamar Chase, you stamp yourself as one of the league's elites. And he was All-Pro last year, and he's just continuing to build off that season.
Is this the second week he's been locked up?
Jamar Chase?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure Christian Gonzalez
He went
did a pretty
6 for
good job.
61 last week.
I don't think he was locked up against Christian Gonzalez, but Gonzalez did a great job on him. He definitely made it tough throughout the game.
My this week in the NFL, I have 4 head coaches. Tell me if they will survive the rest of the season. First coach, Brian Dable. We talked about the schedule, these next 6 games, all against playoff teams.
He should. I mean, Daniel Jones is the one that got to be out of there. You can't fire Brian Dable.
I think you keep Brian Dable for the next quarterback you bring in because I think he can do really good with them. I also think losing Brian Dable to another potential team that are really like he can really build upon and make them a playoff team would really hurt because there's not many coaches out there that's better than Brian Dable.
He's not getting fired.
Doug Peterson.
He's gone.
He's gone. He's
Correct.
getting fired.
Well said.
100%.
Matt Eberflus.
He's getting fired.
Him and what's his boy Waldron? They can go.
He'll get fired because they want an offensive mind with Caleb Williams. And I think it's unfortunate because Eberflus doing a really good job with that defense.
Last name on this list, because there's varying opinions on this person and this team, Robert Saleh.
See you later.
If we make the playoffs, then he's going to keep his job. That's 100%. 100%.
No way he gets fired midseason. They lose 2 or 3 games in a row. They start off 1-4.
I mean, you're painting the worst case scenario.
That's
Crying.
the world that
I
happens.
mean, if that happens, then he does get fired. But I think that the Jets will make the playoffs and Robert Saleh will keep his job for 1 more year.
Rumor has it Kyle Shanahan's on the hot seat.
Get Robert Saleh
I'll give him
out
the
of
key
here.
to the city.
Shit, fuck me.
I'll give Clint Kubiak the keys.
All right,
God's
listen,
honest.
so will I.
Kyle, listen.
I want Sean Payton.
Pull up.
There could be a lot of good head coaches on the open market next year.
30 NFL teams will be
I
looking
will
at
say
Kyle
this:
Shanahan.
if we lose in a wild card, Robert Saleh's gone.
I agree.
We get a new head coach. 100%.
He needs to win a playoff game to
100%.
keep his job.
Yes.
Yeah,
Do you think Joe Douglas gets fired with him?
Oh hell no, he shouldn't. Joe Douglas has made some great moves.
He's a Joe
Joe Douglas
guy
is a
now.
goat.
Is he going
I
to
think
pay
he's good,
Hassan
yeah.
Reddick?
TBD.
At this point, he should.
He's lost like $8 million.
I seen something from a
doesn't give a
Jets
fuck.
guy that leaked some stuff, and it could be complete bullshit, and it probably is. But this person said that Hassan Reddick saw the opening schedule for the Jets. They have Monday night game, Sunday night game, Thursday night game, right? So I mentioned he played 3 games in like fucking 14 days or whatever. He was worried about potentially getting injured, and there's a better chance he comes back in week 4.
Tell
It's
him
probably
come
made
back.
up.
We'll
I
give
don't
you Bryce Huff back.
You're good. You can keep him.
He's
You paid him $34 million guaranteed.
Live or die.
That
by
was
it.
a whiff. And I thought he was going to be good, but he's been
2 weeks
trash.
in, he's done.
He's actually ash. You call him a superstar. And that shit
He was with
pissed-
the Jets.
No, wait. With Salah's defense, he was looking like one of the
kinda-
ones.
He just, no, he's
Big Fangio,
he's
man.
lining up 1-on-1
It's
against
happened.
tight ends. He just can't get to the quarterback.
Didn't happen with the Jets. He was dominant. I will say that.
Well, yeah,
He got paid and he stopped.
Yeah, well, Hassan's not playing, so
All right, gentlemen, let's build the best NBA player. We're obviously going to go through a list of categories. However, there's a little bit of a caveat, and you'll realize that very shortly. Now, for size, but you can't choose Victor Wembanyama.
So are we going 1-1-1? We can't.
No, you
conversate?
guys can collaborate.
Giannis?
Boban Marjanovic.
I want someone with some like
What?
build.
I don't want a
He
7.
said size.
Did he
I don't
just
want a
retire?
7'6" dude.
Why not?
Let's get a 6'10" guy.
Giannis. But we
Does
could also
size
use
have to
Giannis
do
for
with
something else, to
athleticism?
be fair.
Huh?
Because are we gonna
Boban
get
can't jump.
we're gonna get an athleticism category?
Size.
It's just size.
Is this just height weight?
I don't want 7'6" goofy.
Size.
Let's do no fuck. Let's do LeBron.
LeBron.
Oh,
the
Katie.
thing- But the thing is, we
Steven
could
Adams.
use these players for like other shit. You know what I mean? That's why it's like, what's like a maybe someone that's big but
Tatum.
just isn't that great.
Steven
Tatum has other
Adams.
shit you could use. Versatility.
We don't have nothing that we want from Tatum outside his
Versatility?
size, brother. We can get
Defender?
Stop. No.
Game 7. You need a guy in Game 7.
Tatum's 6'10". He's pretty. And he's handsome.
All right, Tatum.
Tatum for size. Okay.
So we have a 6'10" dude.
Athleticism, but not Giannis.
John Moran. Zion.
Derrick Jones Jr.
Okay. I like Ja. He's arguably the most athletic person in the league.
I get why you said that. I'm not gonna front. I understand.
All right, so John Morant.
Yeah.
All right, shooting, but not Steph Curry.
Dame.
Grayson Allen.
Dante
CJ
DiVincenzo.
McCollum.
Honestly, I didn't hate Dame. Who'd you say?
Grayson Allen.
Okay.
But shooting is all aspects, not just
CJ
spot up.
McCollum
It's just,
last year
Dame.
was
I
a-
can't believe you said CJ McCollum, man.
Dame.
I know he was good last year, but come on.
think about all types of shooting.
Dame was shitty last year.
But just
was.
career-wise, Dame is fucking top
Tyrese
2-3
Halliburton.
shooter ever.
Tyrese Maxey.
I don't hate it.
I can level with Tyrese
Okay,
Maxey.
I'm cool with Maxey.
All right. Ball handle, but not Kyrie
Jordan
Irving.
Poole. This is what we. Listen.
Is Darius Garland not in the combo?
Oh, okay.
Garland's valid.
So
I like
Garland.
I like Garland.
All right. Passing, but not Jokic or Luka.
Halliburton.
Tyrese. Yeah, Halliburton.
Okay.
We can't find anybody else.
Chris Paul.
Tatum would be great.
He said Chris
He
Paul.
just led the league in assists.
I did, and I hated every bit of it. But let's go.
All right. Defensive versatility, but not Bam
Jason
Adebayo.
fucking Tatum.
No.
Would have been
John
perfect,
Isaac.
you idiots.
No,
he was
Jonathan
scoring
Isaac.
fives.
Jonathan Isaac.
Tatum's better.
Does OG Anunoby enter your matrix?
Evan Mobley.
Jonathan Isaac it might be the one.
Mobley's not bad either. Mobley's
He's
actually
a
really
one.
good.
He said not Bam.
But not Bam. Bam
Fuck.
is the best.
AD.
Okay, I love that.
But I'm saying you could guard perimeter and protect the rim
How about Draymond Green? Oh, Herb Jones. Fuck are we doing? Herb Jones.
over Isaac.
Yes.
Who's a better rim protector?
I didn't like that. Yeah.
Herb's good, but Isaac's
Herb
better.
was the only not big to make all
was.
defensive
That's
team
fair.
last year.
But Herb can give me consistent. Like we're talking
Tatum,
about.
Tatum was so perfect here.
No, he's actually not that good. But Herb is
Are
giving me 80
you,
games.
are you
of-
stupid or dumb or both?
Maybe all.
All right, who are we choosing, gentlemen?
I'm voting Isaac.
How about Jaden McDaniels?
John Isaac.
I like that.
Oh, like you knew he was going to
Ew,
go for Jaden
does he have
McDaniels.
good defensive versatility?
I'll be honest, he's
What
not
do you
better
mean?
than Herb. He's not better than
He's
Herb.
an elite
Can't
perimeter
guard
defender. He
centers.
could protect the rim.
Jalen Brown?
He let him.
We need the off-ball elite to be elite too.
Why
That's what
couldn't
I'm
we just
saying,
go Evan Mobley?
Yeah, I like that
okay,
one.
Evan Mobley.
Yeah, that one.
Herb. Okay, fine.
It's really a no-brainer. I thought that's where you guys were going off rip. All right, dunk abilities, but not John Moran.
Anthony Edwards.
Zion? Jalen Brown?
Derrick Jones Jr. He won dunk contests before.
Oh my God. Nate Robinson.
I'm trying to think. No, Jalen Green is a guy.
Zach LaVine.
Zach
Zach
Levine.
LaVine. solid.
Prime Zach LaVine, you know?
Brother, he can still dunk.
Okay, we
To
can
me,
pick
it's
him then.
Zion or JB.
Over Zach Levine.
Did you see the
Zion
dunks
is
that
OD.
Jalen Brown
No,
did in the
I'm talking
dunk
about
contest?
JB,
Okay, but
lost
you
They were
it.
embarrassing.
He said that shit earlier
Jalen
to
Brown
me, and I was
in-game
like, I love
dunker?
you, but come on.
Jalen Brown in-game dunker's
No,
elite.
you're right. Jalen
He's
Brown.
right.
He
Like,
dunks on
like
people.
dunk
It ain't-
contest. Okay,
More than
whatever.
Anthony Edwards?
More than
No,
Zion?
I'll probably go Ant.
Zion really
Ant
doesn't
jumped
that's
over
good.
somebody.
Zion.
Ant jumped over somebody.
I
Yeah,
like
go Ant.
Zion. This
I'm
isn't
cool.
me.
Okay,
Ant
I'm
jumped
cool
over
with Ant too.
somebody.
I'm cool
All right,
with
so who are we doing?
Anthony
Ant.
Edwards.
We'll do Ant.
Ant-Man? All right.
We need some swag.
All right, and last, finishing, but not Luka Doncic.
De'Aaron Fox.
Valid.
No, he said not Luca.
Not Luka.
LeBron.
That's a good one.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Jokic.
SGA. is also in the
Jokic
conversation.
is
He didn't
also.
have mid-range.
Giannis is in the
I said
conversation.
shooting.
This
That's
is-
why I said
oh.
shooting.
I mean, Jokic, probably numbers-wise, probably number one.
Finishing?
Yeah.
It's finishing. We need some aura to it, though.
I mean, are we just
Zion?
saying percentage or like bad
Kyrie?
package?
Should I have
Kyrie. We need some aura to it.
All right,
Who's a
we're
better
if we're going
finisher,
with the
Kyrie or
package,
Steph?
Statistically,
Steph.
Steph.
Yeah, that's
But
why I
aura.
say that.
It's Kyrie. It's
All
Kyrie.
We need some swag to it.
All
man.
right, so for size, no Victor. We went Jason Tatum. Athleticism, but not Giannis, John Morant. Shooting, no Steph Curry. Tyrese Maxey. That was interesting, but I respect that one. Ball handle, no Kyrie, Darius Garland. Passing, no Jokic or Luka. We got Tyrese Halliburton. Defensive versatility, no Bam, Evan Mobley. That was a great answer. Dunking abilities, no Ja, Ant-Man. And finishing, no Luka, Kyrie Irving.
You guys ready?
Like that.
What do you got going on?
As soon as my phone
Blind
opens.
rank these 12 players based on aura.
Yo, we could definitely blind rank 12 players.
We definitely could. Blindly ranking these NBA players from the Atlantic Division. I got some funny ass names.
We did this
up here.
last time. Can't forget that. We've done this already.
Yeah, so you should be a pro at it. But I got some funny ass names up here. First name up. Your brother in Christ now, Emmanuel Quickly.
So you're saying six guys?
You guys should
Always
know
six.
this
Okay.
already.
5 or 6. If you guys say 6, I get it.
It's a 5.
Oh, 5.
5. Good
Yeah,
shit.
leave a spot.
We're here.
Here we go. Next name up, Cam Thomas.
4.
He's better than
He's better
Quickly.
than Quickly?
He is better than
No,
Quickly.
Joel said yes, he is better than Quickly.
I think he is better than Quickly.
Oh
When did
my
I say that?
I thought you were saying it.
I would
now.
put Cam
I never.
Thomas.
I know. I was asking.
Oh, it was
Yeah,
like a
no, it's
question, I
marginal,
think.
but I think he is better
I'd
than
put
him.
Cam Thomas.
I
6.
apologize, bro.
Cam Thomas is really nice.
That's why I said a marginal. I'm thinking 4.
I'd put 6. If you guys outvote me, go for it.
All right, listen, I could go either way.
He's about to average 27 this year. So
I don't know about 27, but he could average 22 to 24 pretty comfortably. I'm thinking 4, but if you want to go 6, I could hear that too. I'm fine with 6.
I'd put him 6.
I feel like we might just get a role player in here. But then again, I mean,
think a
role
lot of
player
these
could
are
be
about to
better
be
than Cam.
strong.
We've already named 2.
Cam Thomas is just like, what is he on a winning team?
You're right. You're right.
Can we see him first in an environment before you jump to
we might
conclusions?
All right, Joel, you've convinced me. My vote is back to 6.
right.
Or we're going 6.
Okay, so you got him at 6, Cam. Next name up, Dante DiVincenzo.
I'm leaning 2 or 3.
It has to be 4.
If this is gonna be
No,
just
this is role player
role
you right
players.
now.
Yeah, Dante DiVincenzo is one of the best role players in the league.
He is. He had one of the better shooting seasons also.
he was
I know,
fucking
but it's like
damn near
between
best
him and Emmanuel Quickly, I don't know if there's like a 2-spot gap.
Go 3.
This fucking guy. Listen to John.
You went 3 or you went 2 at first?
I
You
said,
guys went
I
3.
said I'm in between 2 and 3.
I just don't. Are we gonna get 2 better role players than Dante DiVincenzo in the Atlantic Division?
I mean, if we get Mikal Bridges and OG Anunoby, then yes.
Is
All
he
right,
gonna
I
get
can
3
hear
next?
3. I can hear 3.
You guys
I'm
do
good.
know
He's
I
gonna
never
give you
said
percentage.
role
I'm with you.
player.
I
just
know.
said players. Oh,
I know.
Okay,
But you've
thank you,
only named
percentages.
role players.
I'm
I
with
got
3.
right
I'm
now.
with 3. I'm with
3.
So we have 3, 5, and 6.
3, 5, and 6.
No, you have 2, 1, and 6. No, 2, 1, and 4.
He's saying that's what we have left. We're here.
Yeah, I said Phil.
Don't worry about it.
Oh, I'm sorry.
on,
I,
you didn't have to say
I misheard you.
We're here.
Next name up, Julius Randle.
Okay.
1 or 2.
Off of what we've already listed, yeah, 2's fine.
You can. Do we even say 1 and just not think about it?
Honestly, fair. 1's definitely in the cards.
Because
too.
all the time we leave 1 open.
I'll say this: we haven't gotten a Boston player, and honestly,
We
we get
haven't.
Derek White. I'll contemplate one.
But
I swear to God.
there's a chance this doesn't give us any
I'm
I would
thinking
vote,
2.
I would vote 1.
I'm very firm on 2.
I'm fine with 2 as well.
Okay.
I'm going with 2.
If we get Derek White, I swear he's going right to 1.
I just feel like this is not going to give you a Boston player.
Jakob Pertl.
4. I wish we put Cam Thomas at 4 really badly now. Jakob's 4. He's not a bad player.
That's all we got, right? 4 and
Yeah,
1 is all
4
we got
and 1,
left.
yeah.
Yeah, that's
No,
easily
you put
the
Julius
6.
at 1.
No, we put
No,
him
we
at 2.
put
Julius
Julius
at
at 2.
I'm sorry. Just
Jakob was an awesome name.
That
to
one
give,
got John
truthfully.
going, by the way. This guy's over here
They kind of
cracking
look
up.
alike if you think about it.
Oh my God.
Kind of looks like Goran Dragic,
I met Jakob Pertl in person.
right? He looks like Goran
Tall as
Dragic.
fuck.
He is-
When we were in
he's
summer
7
league.
foot.
All right,
Oh my
so you
God.
got so here we go. From 6 to 1. I love to do it. You have Cam Thomas sitting pretty at 6. You have IQ at 5. You have Jakob Pertl. I'm surprised I said his name right. At 4.
Me too.
You have Dante DiVincenzo at 3. Julius Randle is sitting pretty at 2. And the final name is Kristaps Porzingis, sitting at 1.
Cook. Fucking cook.
The only thing I wish is we put Cam Thomas 4.
that's
Other than
facts.
that,
That's
man.
a fact.
Yeah, Jakob, I had to throw a little, little
That was
wrench in there.
random.
It was.
That was
I
so
said
random.
He did play. He does play for Raptors.
He does.
Nice work, gentlemen.
Now, do you guys want to get into the NBA stuff, or you want to go home?
I would love to go home.
2.5 hours, 10
y'all
p.m.
lie every time we come in here.
The Just Debate Def added like 30
Of
minutes.
course, so that's
Listen,
our show.
Drew, it's 10 o'clock. I
And
got to eat dinner.
I'm with
and
you.
I gotta
I'm
get
here.
up.
We can leave. All I'm gonna say is I was not the talkative one today.
Wednesday,
It
we
was
can
not
add
me.
it. We can make Pick'em short, add it, talk about it, give you guys
I think
this
that's
content,
fair. We
you know?
definitely can
'Cause
add
Pick'em
that
can
to
be
the
short.
Pick'ems. Yes.
So, I got to go.
He's had a long day.
Yeah, man.
I just got off a plane.
All he's had to eat is a man.
literally 2. I'm starving.
Okay.
That's gonna
Appreciate
do it.
that. You know, we had a good show. It was a good show. We talked about some football. I love football.
The graphics gonna have to change, John. Lock in.
It's fine.
I mean, just take the 2 bums off.
Whoa.
You stupid or
I'm
something.
sorry.
Brunson.
He was at the Philly game. That's why we lost.
Oh, you said 2 bums, Tatum and Bryce.
All right, John, you can take
Yeah.
the lower third off the screen, and we're going to outro the show right here.
Why would I talk about Brunson?
I already
love
did,
He's cool.
baby.
Okay.
But Tatum.
Best guard in the East.
And that's going to do it for episode 408 of the Pick a Side podcast. We didn't get to the NBA Atlantic Division, but right now in the East Coast, it is 10:13 p.m. We all got to go home. We all got to get ready for bed. These 2 fine gentlemen have work in the morning. So we're ending the show early, but Friday's episode, we promise, will be majority NBA. We didn't want to shortchange you guys with only talking about the NBA for a little bit. So that's going to do it for this episode. You guys can follow us on Twitter at Pick a Side Pod, on Instagram and TikTok at Pick a Side Podcast. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.